Meeting called to order.
Good evening. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 1046 et sec, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising in the Star Ledger, El Nuevo Coquí, Haiti Progress, and Luz Americana newspapers, and by distribution to the administrative offices of the Newark Public Schools. A copy of the meeting notice was also forwarded to City Hall for posting. This is a regular board meeting for Tuesday night, May 23, 2017.
Please stand for flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Present.
Ms. Carter.
Present.
Ms. Fonseca.
Present.
Ms. Gaddy.
Present.
Ms. Garcia. Ms. Johnson.
Present.
Chair Lewis.
Present.
Ms. Owens.
Present.
Vice Chair Padilla.
Present.
Everyone's here, Mr. Chair.
Now we'll have greetings by Principal of Science Park High School, Ms. Cheney. Let's give her a hand as she comes.
Good evening. On behalf of our administrative team, our staff, students, and parents, I welcome each of you to Science Park High School. We have a lot to be proud of tonight. Science Park earned silver medal status from the U.S. News and World Report this year. Two of our students have just been offered all expenses paid study abroad experiences in Beijing for the month of July. Science Park currently has one of the highest SAT averages in the county of Essex. And just today, our IB students hosted their counterparts from South Korea. I could go on and on and on and on, but I won't. Instead, I choose to introduce you all to our most recent pride and joy. The Legion of Boom is a marching band started by Science Park's own Mario McMiller and Thomas Wilson of Barringer High School. The students you will see tonight are nothing short of amazing, and we are so very proud of them. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, the Legion of Boom.
Yeah!
Next on the agenda is recognitions. One of the resolutions that's on the agenda already, the recognition, appreciation of New Jersey Devils, was already presented to the New Jersey Devils, but we just wanted to put it on the agenda so it could be on our record. So let's give the New Jersey Devils a round of applause. Next, we're going to recognize one of our very own, one of our students from Big Blue Central High School. Presenting the resolution will be our former chair of parent engagement, board member Kim Gaddy.
Come forward, Kishana McCray. When I read this proclamation, this young lady right here, North proud, when you hear the accomplishments of this young lady, you'll wonder why I'm asking you to please applaud right now for this young lady. In recognition and appreciation of Kishana McCray, whereas Kishana McCray is a senior at Central High School and is a member of the Blue Devils girls track and field team, who showed great dedication, teamwork, and pride in how she carried herself in the classroom and on the track field during the 2016 season. Whereas Kishana McCray won the Newark Public Schools championships in the 100 meters, 200 meters, 100 hurdles, 400 hurdles, and I'm not finished, just getting started. Won the Essex County championships in the 100 meters, 200 meters, 100 hurdles, and is the first ever, I will repeat, first ever athlete to achieve that triple win, Kishana McCray. And I'm not finished. I'm not even a third finished. She won the Super Essex Conference Championship, Colonial Division in the 100 meters, 200 meters, 100 hurdles, and 400 hurdles. Whereas Kishana McCray was the NJSIAA Meet of Champions winner in the 100 hurdles and the first ever female from Newark to win the NJSIAA Meet to Championship in the 100 meters, 200 meters, 100 meters, and 400 hurdles. This is a lot. This is a lot. You got to let it sink in. This is your day. Whereas Kishana McCray has earned 5 NJSIAA Group 2 state titles, 8 North 2 Group 2 state titles, 11 Essex County titles, 17 Super X's conference titles, 19 NPS individual titles, 11 Central High School records. Oh my God. And, I had to get my breath. And is undefeated in 2016 in the 100 hurdles in the state of New Jersey. Undefeated. Right here in the great city of Newark, New Jersey. Whereas Kishana McCray was ranked #1 in New Jersey in the 100 hurdles, and the top 20 in the United States. Top 20 in the United States. She was ranked #2 in New Jersey in the 400 hurdles and #9 in the United States. #9. Woo. Whereas Kishana McCray was offered 27 NCAA Division I full athletic scholarships. 27. And has selected Northern Illinois University, is where she will soon call her home away from home. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newark Board of Education does hereby commend and applaud Kishana McCray from Central High School's Blue Devils girls track and field team and do hereby recognize and congratulate her, her family, and the coaching staff for their hard work, dedication, and accomplishments in track and field in this great city of the city of Newark. This is submitted by Marquise Lewis, Chair, Tay Padilla, Vice Chair, Josie Garcia, Floisha Johnson, Leah Owens, Reginald Bledsoe, Darshea Carter, Crystal Fonseca, and Kim Gaddy. Congratulations. What an honor. Say a few words.
I want to especially thank my coaches, my family, and the school, and everybody that supports me. I couldn't have done this, especially without support and my coaches. So I'm very grateful and honored to receive this award.
All right, thank you. And she's humble. We are so proud of you and all of your accomplishments. We do want to take a picture, though.
Okay.
Okay, we'll put this down. Step up.
Okay, yeah. Way to go, King Coach. Here we go. Is that Dad? This is Coach Barry. Okay. Congratulations. Hey, Coach. Awesome job. All your coaches. Thank you so much. Anybody want to challenge for a race?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Congratulations. Very good job. Well done. Well done.
Let's put our hands together one more time. At this time, I'm sorry. Board member Fonseca would like to say something. I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to take out a moment, thank you, Mr. Lewis, just to acknowledge the bands. That has to be one of the coolest performances I've seen, so I wanted to take out a moment to acknowledge them. And I wanted to give a special shout out to their coaches that are teaching them, you know, and just guiding them to play these instruments, because one of the things I noticed is that they allow them to play music that the youngsters listen to, and that just changes the whole game when kids are learning how to play instruments. So shout out to the instructors. They're doing a phenomenal job, so we appreciate that. We appreciate what you're doing with the youth.
Just before we go, I just want to give another shout out to Dr. Brown, the principal of Central High School, who's doing an amazing job at Central. Thank you for all the things you're doing at Central as well. And the athletic director, my board member said, don't forget the athletic director. Thank you too, as well. I would like, can I get a motion to accept the minutes as a package?
Motion.
Gaddy.
Second.
Bledsoe. This is a motion to vote on the minutes as a package. We're talking about items 6.2, 3, and 4, the May 2nd regular reorg meeting, the April 20, 2017 board modified business meeting, and the April 20 public budget meeting. This is a motion just to take them as a package. Moved by Ms. Gaddy, second by Mr. Bledsoe. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay, we're going to take them as a package. Is there a motion to vote on these items?
Motion.
Bledsoe.
Move it.
Who's the second?
Gaddy.
Yes.
It's a motion to affirmatively vote on the 3 sets of minutes. Moved by Mr. Bledsoe, second by Board Member Gaddy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain on any? All minutes approved.
Now we'll have our student rep report.
Good evening, everyone. As we approach the end of my tenure as Newark student representative, it's important to mention the search for my successor, of course. The application process began before this year's spring break and ended on April 28th. There were 11 applications in total. Interviews were conducted with each candidate, and 9 students participated in a public debate last Thursday on May 18th. As of now, any Newark Public Schools student is allowed to vote for their next representative. I strongly encourage everyone here to vote and/or spread the word before the poll closes on Friday at midnight. Also, as we approach the end of the year, I've had time to reflect on my term as the student representative. Personally, I don't think I did a very good job, partially through the fault of my own and partially through that of the district at large. Tonight, I would like to explain to you why I have not been effective and how we as a district can lift up the next student representative and ensure that their voice truly matters. In general, I feel like I was kept out of the loop of board conversation. I do not have an NPS email address, and I am not included in any email threads or information inside the board. The only time I learn about the district is when I attend meetings, which greatly reduces my capability to be an effective member of the board. This is especially true in relation to board votes. Decisions are being made that affect my peers and I, but I am not given any information about them beforehand, and as a result, I cannot comment or feel comfortable about what's going on. Additionally, I had very little guidance prior to my term or throughout the year. I had no idea how to effectively carry out my role as the student representative, and unfortunately, I spent most of the year trying to figure out how to do so, which is a waste of time. My supervision has been given to the ombudsman of the district, who is too busy doing her normal job to be able to fully help me be my best. And Ms. Deering, I know you're here, I saw you earlier. I don't fault you for this at all. I blame the system that made me like another one of your responsibilities, so nothing against you, I love you. But I did have very little guidance, and I feel like the district can do better on that. Lastly, I was not given any way to make effective connections with my peers in other schools. I tried to organize meetings with representatives from each high school, create a Twitter account, and set up email accounts so that the student in my role could communicate with others well. However, for a series of relatively trivial reasons, the district has not allowed me to do so. Whether it's officially or off the record, the general attitude towards my role is that it does not matter, and as a result, nobody wants to work with me. However, it is extremely difficult to make connections from nothing, and it's silly to expect the student representative to effectively perform his or her duties without any support at all. It is true, though, that my lack of productivity is not only the fault of the adults around me. I should have been more aggressive and pushed harder for the changes that I wanted to see in my district and in my role. That's definitely true. but I was too shy to do so until now. With that said, having a student representative on the Board of Education is a wonderful idea, but I am an untapped resource. I don't think that my role has to be useless. And as we move to local control, the position of the student representative needs to become more meaningful and more powerful. When the next student rep makes public speeches, they should be able to provide concrete examples of what their peers are facing in the district so that we as a board can help them and actually make changes. Right now, I'm working with district officials to set up a meeting with our high school students to gauge their expectations of the district as we move to local control. This meeting will also be used to determine the particular areas of focus that students in the district care about the most so that we can prioritize these things. I'm also working on a guide for my successor, which will detail everything I've learned during my time as the student representative and include several resources for them like community groups in Newark, so that they can truly do their best and be a source of positive change in the district. And as for the other problems I'm seeing, we need to make changes as a community. The district needs to give the student representative access to a school email so that he or she can be included in board discussions. More importantly, the district needs to work proactively to ensure that the representative is given tools to actually represent his peers by setting up student meetings and giving the representative a right to vote. Right now, the student rep has too little guidance, too little information, and too little support to be an effective leader of change. But I believe that the student voice matters, and I know we can do better than this, so this role must be given more power. Thank you.
Ms. Gold, I want to thank you for your comments. As the chair of this board, I really understand where you were, how you felt, and I want to work closely with you to make sure that the next student rep don't feel the way you felt. And just like you said, the student rep need to be given power and resources, and we're going to make sure that you get the resources next. Your rep, the person that's going to come behind you, will get the resources that they need to be successful. And that's my promise to you as the chair of this board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the board chair's report. Good evening to Superintendent Cerf, executive staff, fellow board members, and Newark community. There are three things that I would like to do tonight. The first thing I would like to do is everyone knows me and they know that I like to give people the flowers while they still can smell them. So tonight I want to recognize a very special person, someone I knew for over 10 years. She is so amazing. She deserves so much more. So on behalf of this non-member board of education, we hereby recognize my board colleague, Dasha Carter, for her outstanding work as Ms. Carter graduated from Rutgers University and a master's degree of public administration. On behalf of the board, I would like to present her with this plaque and some flowers. Dasha, you work so hard. I know you think we don't recognize you, but sometimes you'll get your time, Ms. Johnson. But sometimes people watch you and don't say nothing because they admire your credibility and the things you're able to do. I'm going to admit right now on the record that I wouldn't have been able to do what you did. I wouldn't have been able to go to school, work on this board, go to the military, and didn't have a full-time job. You are a true example for our children, and you are the definition of a phenomenal woman. Secondly, I would like to discuss committees. There are currently 6 standing committees now in our district. As chair, I have the responsibility to appoint board members to committees. Now, you may not agree with what I have decided. I'm willing to take that whooping because I took a lot of whoopings when I was a child to prepare me for a day like this. The 2017 to 2018 committee assignments go as follows. Finance Committee will be led by Crystal Fonseca as chair, Vice Chair Tay Padilla, members Reginald Bledsoe and Dashe Carter. Personnel Committee will be led by Dashe Carter as chair, Josephine Garcia as vice chair, Kim Gaddy, member, Tay Padilla, member. Community Engagement Committee will be led by Dashe Carter as chair, Josephine Garcia, vice chair, Crystal Fonseca, member, Floisha Johnson, member. Operations Committee will be led by Tay Padilla as chair, Marquise Aquil Lewis, vice chair, Reginald Bledsoe as member, Kim Gaddy as a member. Legal Committee will be led by Josephine Garcia as chair, Marquise Aquil Lewis as vice chair, Crystal Fonseca, member, Floisha Johnson, member. Program and Instruction will be led by Reginald Bledsoe as chair, Dashe Carter as vice chair, Leah Owens as member, and Marquise Aquil Lewis as member. NJSBA rep will be Dashe Carter. County representative for this board will be Kim Gaddy. You will have your time. Additional to these committees, as the chairman of this board, I am reactivating the citywide Parent Advisory Council, which will consist of one parent from every school that will meet once a month with the chairman of this board or its designee. I will also be creating a Clergy Alliance Council, where clergy members will be charged to adopt a school and offer support services to the schools in which they adopt. They will lend counseling to families and give them support when they need support. We have so many great students in North Public Schools, and I believe that we overlook them most of the time. Our children graduate from this district every year, but North Public Schools never give them a token of appreciation. So as chairman of this board, I will be starting a scholarship fund. As the Friends of North Public Schools Scholarship Fund, this scholarship fund will be 1,000% about the children. This committee will be charged with organizing events solely to raise money to make sure we're able to give at least one child from every school, high school, a scholarship as they go on to college. Lastly, not this board, the committee, not the board. Lastly, today marks 3 weeks since I have been made president of the North Board of Education. This has been a rough 2 weeks. I'm here today with mixed emotions, but I'm comfortable in my own skin. I was born and raised here in the city of North. I'm not perfect, but I was perfectly made. I'm not going to entertain negativity or promote negativity, but I will promote positive thoughts, positive energy, and positive engagement. I've seen all the comments on social media and on radio blogs. And this community may be big, but it's very small. A lot of folks had a lot of different opinions. They even went to some of my family members, not knowing that they were my family members, and expressed them. I have not commented on these remarks because they are false. People are running around trying to attack my character and drag my name in the mud. This is my home. All I know is Newark. I walk these halls, I sat in these seats, and I ate that cafeteria food. They are saying that I'm not qualified, that I'm illiterate, that I can't read. They even question it if I graduated from Arts High School. All because I don't have a degree. But only if you knew my story. I could have meant any other way. I decided to come this route. I decided to advocate for the community and that raised me and educated me. So I didn't go to a Howard University. I didn't go to Yale University. I didn't go to Duke. But I graduated from the Hard Knocks University of Newark, New Jersey. And I have a degree in activism. I've been out here since I was 16 years old. I've been out here. I took a bullet in these streets when other people made excuses on why they couldn't stand up. Marquise Aquil Lewis stood up. I rallied when it was just me on the street corner. I had candlelight vigils. I attended funerals. I did everything I had to do to not be a victim of society. But in this community that I love so much, instead of taking a young black man like me and encouraging me, you decide to pull me down. You decide to talk about me. You decide to point out what I don't have to make yourself look good. But may I tell you that everyone have their day. Judgment Day is coming. And I serve somebody who will have my back and serve my battles. I helped get a lot of people elected in this community, even some folks that's on this stage. But instead of saying, Marquise, what can I do to help you? You rather go and talk about me. You rather try to bring me down. But I will not be bullied. No one will make me a punk. I am the chairman of this board. I am a product of North Public Schools. Born and raised, I am a son of North. So I'm not perfect, but I won't be bullied. I won't be bullied. I won't be disrespected. Whether you like it or not, for the next year, I am the chairman of this board. And whether you like it or not, at the end of the day, the buck stopped with me. So you had your time, you had your opportunity to speak what you wanted to speak, but the chairman has spoken and your day has ended. Finally, I am not perfect. I know I don't know everything. So I have created a chairman think tank that will consist of great educators who will serve me as my advisors in my tenure as president of this board. Some of those advisors are Marion Bolden, Kevin West, Miss Nelms, Darrell Martin, Wilhelmina Holder, and a host of other folks. So I know what I don't know, but I know how to put people around me that know what I don't know. I may not know everything, but I didn't make it here alone. So I thank you for your comments. I thank you for your opinions. But now it's time to govern this district and bring our board forward. Thank you. The next order of business is superintendent report.
Thank you very much, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. Hard act to follow, but I'm gonna do my best. First of all, it reminds me of my very first meeting several years ago now. There is a reason everybody here is working so hard and showing up and without pay in most cases. It's very important when there are moments of discord or moments of disarray or moments of disagreement. By the way, my strategy is I literally do not look at social media. Just let you know, that is for me the most healthful thing I know how to. No, I don't. I don't. I honestly don't, because I know what you're saying. So I just want to say that my one prayer and hope is that every decision that collectively we make is about how we can get every single beautiful child in this district to and through school prepared for success in life. And while there are so many opportunities for personal discord and for disagreement and even politics, it is our collective commitment, I know, to rise above that, to keep our eye on that ball, because it is a moral imperative that every child born in this city, born in this country, have an equal opportunity at success. And public education is what enables that to happen or not, and collectively we have a lot of work to do. So I do just want to reiterate that central tenet, which I know is broadly shared. I also want to say, I don't know if they're still here, but the representatives of Science Park and the representatives of Central High School the extraordinary athlete who was presented here before, that incredible musical performance, to the teachers, to the coaches, to the people who enable that kind of thing to happen. The thing that I think is so often overlooked in the press and in the coverage and in the 6 o'clock news is the extraordinary successes that can be found within the Newark Public Schools, and the incredible public servants and people who are giving of themselves every single day to enable the God-given gifts of these beautiful, beautiful young people to shine and blossom. And we've put out, I think, something like, I don't know the number, 140 what we call positive press releases to shine a light on the kind of wonderful thing we saw today. But I just think it's good to bear in mind that this district, for all of its challenges and all of its history and all of its need to continue on a trajectory of improvement, is producing some extraordinary people. And there are about 5,500 employees of the district who go to work every day to make that happen. So I just want to acknowledge all of that. We have an agenda tonight that is going to center around advising the board and advising the community about something we call Newark Enrolls, and I choose that word very deliberately. I want to tell you a few facts about the process. I want to tell you how it worked this year. I want to tell you what lies ahead for next year. And I use that word very advisedly, because one thing I have said many, many, many times is that everybody is entitled to their own opinions, but not to their own facts. And I believe that pretty deeply, that I think that thoughtful, smart people who care about a central value of education can take very divergent paths towards what's the right policy, and we need to have a civil, respectful discourse about that. But we need to start with a foundation of objective facts and build our agreements or disagreements off of those. And this is an area that has generated, frankly, a lot of mythology, and I want to, and some misperceptions, and I want to talk about that. I can't see the screen, so I have no idea whether what I'm saying has any relevance to that. So you all will, I'm sure that friends in the audience will tell me. Oh, Ms. Wilson will let me know. So first of all, there are some really deep misperceptions about Newark Enrolls and the enrollment process. And I want to just be really clear about 5 of them. Newark Enrolls does not open or close charter schools. That process is completely independent of that. Second, Newark Enrolls does not determine which district schools are closed or open. Newark Enrolls does not decide how many spaces are available at crowded NPS schools. That is a decision made independent of the Newark Enrolls process. Newark Enrolls does not set the policy for what we call the magnets, the competitive admissions high schools that pre-existed Newark Enrolls and is independent of it today. And Newark Enrolls does not set the policy or the law for transportation. That is also something that is set independently by law. So what is Newark Enrolls? Almost every large city uses a citywide enrollment system. What's the opposite of that? Where you just walk to the neighborhood school and enroll at the school. Denver, New York, Camden, Washington, D.C., the list goes on and on and on, uses a citywide enrollment system to provide families with an efficient way to enroll children in school. So what does our system set out to do? Essentially 3 things. 1, it is a website and a process that centralizes information for parents to make the school selection process easier and fairer. Second, and this is the heart of it, it provides neutral rules to break the tie when there's not enough room in a school for everyone who wants to attend. I do not want to support a system where people who have their act more together, who are politically connected, who know what phone calls to make, can call up and say, hey, do me a solid and get me a spot in a school, and leave other people at the curb. It is a way to say there are neutral rules, like do you have a sibling at the school? Do you live in the neighborhood? That breaks the tie. More on that in a moment. It is a way to support the value of equity. Some children take more urgency, more work, more resources, more opportunity to successfully educate. Not all schools take equal share of what we call in the vernacular free lunch kids. That is, kids who come from families with the least economic means, or special ed children with special needs. We want to make sure that we can use this system to have as many children who might otherwise not have an opportunity to get the school of their preference, to get that preference. And lastly, it is a way that more than me, more than anyone on this board, more than any elected official, parents should make the judgment about what they think is the best educational opportunity for their school. Let me tell you, it drives me crazy, and I'm just going to give you a true confession. When people who have the opportunity to send their children to a private school or to move to a district that's supposed to have good schools and say, we're going to do what's right for our children because we can afford it, say that other people should not have that same opportunity. So it is a way, the value there is empowering parents and families to make that choice. So how does it work? How does it actually work? And again, let's actually go to the facts. What happens when there are more applicants for a school than seats are available? And you will all remember this. You remember the lines outside Ann Street School. You remember the lines outside certain schools. Sometimes, like they're going to, I'm going to date myself, a Rolling Stones concert. They want to get in line first. Again, no one has any idea what I'm talking about, except for maybe Mr. Williams. He knows what I'm talking about. When there are more students than are available placements for a school, the enrollment process breaks the tie by applying a neutral rule. Is there a sibling in the school, already in the school? Do you live in the neighborhood? Are you seeking special education services only available at certain schools? Okay? So how does it work? I'm going to show you a very short video. This is going to test our technological capacity, but I have great confidence in our team. That is intended to just give a very simple, straightforward explanation. All of this is on the web, by the way. All of it is available. All of it has always been publicly available. So people say it's not transparent and so on. I don't really understand that, but this will provide an explanation for how this works. Roll it, please. I always wanted to say that.
We created Newark Enrolls to better serve our schools and families because everyone deserves a fair, transparent, and efficient school enrollment process. The purpose of this video is to show you exactly how Newark Enrolls works and how students are matched to their schools. To start, what information do we use to place students at schools? The ranked list of school choices on each student's application, the number of seats offered at each school in each grade level, and each school's priorities. School priority structures might include things like siblings of current students or priority for children who live in the school's neighborhood. Applicants will be considered in order of priority groups if there are more applicants than available seats. It is important to remember that students who wish to stay in their current school do not have to apply. Students who apply to change schools and do not receive a new school assignment will be matched back to their current school so long as it serves their next grade level. You can learn about the priority structures for each school by looking in the Newark Enrolls School Guidebook available at www.newarkenrolls.org. In general, all district elementary schools have sibling and geographic priority. All district high schools have sibling priority, except for magnet schools that use rankings to determine which students are matched. All charter schools have sibling priority, and some also have geographic priority. To better understand what this means, let's start with an example. Let's imagine a city with only one school. We'll call it a Riverfront School. Riverfront School gives priority to siblings of current students, and then to applicants who reside in the neighborhood. Riverfront School has 25 seats in kindergarten. 15 seats are filled by continuing students. So there are 10 seats available for new students. Let's now imagine that 15 families have applied to attend Riverfront School. We start by giving each applicant a random lottery number. Next, we group the applicants by Riverfront School's priority structure. These 6 applicants are siblings of current students at Riverfront School, so they are in the first priority group. These 2 applicants do not have siblings attending Riverfront School, but they do live in the neighborhood. They are in priority group 2. The remaining students do not have siblings attending Riverfront School, nor do they live in the neighborhood. They are in the final group. Now we can line up each student within their priority group in order of his or her random number. Now we know in what order to place students at Riverfront School. 15 seats are already filled by continuing students. Riverfront School has 10 remaining seats available, so we offer a seat to the first 10 applicants in line. All of the students in priority groups 1 and 2 receive a placement at Riverfront School because there are only 8 of them and there are 10 seats available. The first 2 applicants in the final group receive a placement into the 2 remaining seats. For only this group, it was the applicant's random lottery number that determined who would get the seat. All 10 seats at Riverfront School are filled. No more placements are made at this school. Now let's look at another example that is more similar to what actually happens here in Newark, where there are many schools to choose from and where families can list up to 8 schools on their application. We'll look at 3 schools, each with 5 open seats in first grade. Let's learn a little bit about each school. Imagine Riverfront School is a school that gives priority to siblings and then applicants who reside in the neighborhood. Cherry Blossom is also a school that gives priority to siblings and then applicants who reside in the neighborhood. Parkside School is a school that gives priority to siblings only. In this example, each applicant lists these 3 choices. So let's take a look at our applicants. As we can see, each school has applicants, and just like in our first example, they are all lined up in order based on their priority group and their random lottery number. The difference in this example is that applicants are lined up in front of each school they apply to, not just one. Let's look at one applicant to see what this means. Kayla is entering first grade. She has a sibling who attends Riverfront School. She lives in the neighborhood of Cherry Blossom School. She was assigned a random lottery number of 16. Kayla applied to Riverfront School as her first choice, Cherry Blossom School as her second choice, and Parkside School as her third choice. As you can see, Kayla is in a different place in line in front of each school she applied to. This is because she has a different level of priority for each school. You can also see that her random lottery number is always the same. Once assigned, the random lottery number does not change. For Riverfront School, she is 6th in line and part of priority group 1, siblings. For Cherry Blossom School, she's 4th in line and part of priority group 2, neighborhood. For Parkside School, she is 8th in line and then the last priority group. Remember, this school only gives priority to siblings, and she does not have a sibling attending this school. Now that we know where Kayla is in each line, we can find out what school she is placed at by looking at the way she ranked those schools on her application. First, we try to assign her to her first choice. Let's see what happens. Kayla is 6th in line. Riverfront School has 5 available seats. The first 5 applicants standing in line are offered a seat at Riverfront School, so there is no seat available for Kayla. Now let's try to place Kayla at her second choice, Cherry Blossom School. Kayla's in the second priority group, neighborhood priority, and is 4th in line. Cherry Blossom School has 5 available seats. This means we can place Kayla at Cherry Blossom School, her second choice school. Here are a few more important notes about how Newark Enrolls works. In the case of a magnet high school, applicants are sorted into priority groups based on the magnet high school's ranking of their applicants. For example, A magnet high school may rank all of its applicants into 3 groups: high, medium, low. All applicants who are in the high-ranking group who also expressed a high preference for the school are admitted first, in order of their random lottery number. If there are still seats available after all high-ranking group applicants are matched, applicants from the medium-ranking group are then admitted, in order of their random lottery number. Finally, if there are still seats available after the medium-ranking group is matched, applicants from the low-ranking group are admitted, based on their random lottery number, up to the number of available seats. Each magnet high school determines their rankings differently. Some magnets create ranking groups, like the example above, whereas others give every applicant a unique ranking. In determining their student rankings, all magnet high schools consider grades, attendance, and PARCC scores. Some may also require an audition or an interview in their ranking criteria. Sibling priority and neighborhood priority do not apply to magnet high schools. Newark Enrolls always seeks to place every applicant in their highest ranked school possible. This allows families to list their true preferences in actual rank order because they don't have to factor in their likelihood to be assigned to a school. While we cannot promise that every applicant will receive a match at their number 1 choice, we can promise you that your student will be considered fairly and that we will assign your student to the highest ranked choice available. And please know that students will only be matched to a charter school if it is on their application. Contact us by phone or email at 973-733-7333. Visit www.newarkenrolls.org or visit us in person at the Family Support Center located at 301 West Kinney Street, Newark, New Jersey, 07103.
Thank you for that. Now, what I wanted to do now is give you some basic information about how this process has worked this year, some facts and figures that I think you may find useful or interesting. So first of all, and I assume we're on page 8, is that right? How many students are eligible to participate in Newark's enrollment process? All students, all 50,000 students who attend a public school, public charter, public traditional magnet, are eligible to participate. It does not include private schools. It does not include the county voc ed schools, and a little asterisk on that in a second. In total, 11,275 Newark students participated in the process this year. Almost all of those, or 8,300 of those students, needed a new school. That is, they were someone who had aged out of their school. They were in a K-8 school and they needed to go to a 9th grade in a different building, or they were entering the system at kindergarten, pre-K, or in their handful of schools at other levels. So one thing that is very clear is that if you already have a school, you have a 100% right to stay in that school if the school serves the next grade. That is, if you're a 3rd grader, you have every 100% guarantee to stay there, and the 4th grader, et cetera, until you, as I say, age out of the schools. This year, about 2,937 students sought a transfer to a new school through the enrollment process. What that tells you is the great majority of students had the option to try to transfer, but chose to stay in their school, and they had the right to do that. Now, how does this work for a charter school? So this is something that I find that is very important to me at least. So one of the things one hears sometimes about charter schools is that the enrollment process is manipulated. I don't happen to believe that is true as a general proposition, but I do believe that the belief out there, the perception out there, is one that needs to be addressed. So what Newark Enrolls does, it says we are no longer going to leave to the charter schools their process by which they select their students. No longer, they're only going to put door hangers out in certain neighborhoods, they're only going to talk to certain people, they're going to take care of alumni and so on. We are going to say that is going to be run by and managed by the Newark Public Schools. And 90% of the charter school seats in the city, including all of the big ones, have agreed by compact to delegate over to Newark Public Schools the process by which charter school students get assignment, and it works exactly the way the film showed. There are, in reality and by operation of law, 0 students who are assigned to a charter school who did not identify them as a priority. That's another thing that you hear out there sometimes. Now, what about magnet schools? Now, this is a policy decision that this board or its predecessors made a long, long time ago. It's an interesting decision, and it's one I support, but it is occasionally considered a controversial decision. That is, there are about 36% of the students in the magnet schools, and you know them, you see the symbols, they're art, science, here we are in science, history, BARD, technology, university, I don't know who I left out, they have their own selection process, right? So they basically engage in that selection process in a way that is not entirely unlike the way an undergraduate institution of higher learning engages. There's an admissions committee, they rank the process. They accept students through a competitive admissions process. Now, when they rank them, as again was indicated in the video, we simply take that ranking into Newark Enrolls and sort of run it. We don't. There's no part of Newark Enrolls that decides what the selection criteria are. This is decided by Arts High School, for example. They want to have auditions. They want to get students who are particularly gifted or particularly interested in one of the arts. Another question that comes up is, how does this work for special education students, specifically in charter schools? Well, here we have some numbers that I think are interesting and some might suggest problematic. About 9%, it's pretty close to 10% of Newark charter school students have an IEP, that is, they receive special education services. And that number is approaching 16% in the Newark Public Schools. But here's what I think is the interesting news here, is that because of universal enrollment, we have seen progress in charter schools accepting and serving often well special education students, as evidenced by the second statistic up on the board. We are seeing autism programs. We are seeing even what we call self-contained programs increasingly present in the charter schools. And I'd like to think that's in part because the enrollment process has been taken centrally through this process we call Newark Enrolls. Another thing you hear out there all the time is charter schools get paid for students that were present on so-called count day, October 15th, but who leave at the end of the year. That's absolutely not true. There is a process by which that if a student leaves a charter school, the funding transfers back with him or her into the district. In fact, last year, we received a refund of approximately $2 million for some cases. Now, we know that there have been lots of discussion about this in the community, and we know how important it is to listen to that. And there have been, I have to tell you, that some of the hardest working folks are people who are organizing this, managing this, dealing with the thousands of folks who participate in the process. But I am really, really pleased to tell you that the process is seeing continued improvement, very much under the guidance of members of this board. So choice is only meaningful if there is information out there that provides a basis for choice. As I know you know the guidebook, the website, the videos that each school is allowed to take, the school fairs, and so on. So parents are using these opportunities, I think, wisely and well based on a deeper flow of information. A second process improvement, and something that I encourage everyone to take a look at, is most people already manage this process without going to the Family Support Center. Overwhelmingly, it is handled online by parents and families. But we now go that we are eliminating the so-called appeal process and allowing anybody to go to their neighborhood school or online anywhere for families who are new to Newark to go in and see exactly which schools have openings and to register online or to transfer online or to do all of that in a way that facilitates this and eliminates the need to come to the Family Support Center for this has only been open for a matter of weeks, and 2,500 individuals have accessed the portal. Some of them are new students. Some of them are folks who got a match through the process and sought to change it. And that process, and I would encourage you to look at it. So let's look at the outcomes, the match results for this year. There's sort of 5 headlines here. Overwhelmingly, students who did not need to go to a new school chose to stay in their current school. This year, overwhelmingly, students who were in a transition grade, an entering kindergartner or an entering 9th grader, for example, will attend one of their top choices. The number is I think it's 95% for kindergartners. Families who preferred a neighborhood district school, including the community schools, were overwhelmingly admitted to a neighborhood school of their choice. However, a very material percentage of families, kindergarten families we talk about here, but in general, selected a district school outside of their neighborhood or a charter school as their first choice. Now, I say that because one of the things that a lot of people, including me, would have assumed is this is all about I want to have the prerogative to go to my geographically closest school, my neighborhood school, and in fact, that is indeed a preference, as we'll talk about before. But lots and lots and lots of, pardon me, of families are choosing to go to a school that is not the closest school, and I happen to think that giving families that same choice is a positive thing. Turning to page 17. So here's the numbers to support that. Thank you kindly. Most students chose to stay in their current school. 93% chose to stay. 7% chose to apply to a new school. The chart is a little hard to read, but very quickly, there are about 48,000 students in the system. About 44,000 of them, or over 93%, do not need a new school for next year. If you look at what did those students do, students who had every prerogative to stay where they were, well, overwhelmingly, 93.4% chose to remain in their current school. But I think it's interesting that 6% chose to use the system to go to a school that they thought would be a better match. I think it's a good outlet, even though it is hardly what the great majority of people do. 95% of incoming kindergartners, that's the largest entering grade who uses the system, who applied to a new school were admitted to one of their top 3 choices, and that number is up from 92% last year. But here's what's really interesting, because where you hear concerns are people who did not get one of their top choices. So let's look at the 5% of students who were not matched to a top choice. Exactly what happened to them? Well, there's 2 examples here that I think are interesting. So at First Avenue School, 123 students selected it as a top choice, but the school only had space for 70 new kindergarten students. So that was simply a asymmetry, a disequilibrium between the supply of seats and the people who wanted those seats. 90 students selected Phillips Academy as their top choice, but only 42 kindergarten seats were available. Now, in the 9th grade, remember I said for kindergarten about 95% got a top choice? That number of rising 9th grade students, that number is about 70%. But why is that number? The 30% of rising 9th grade students who were not matched to a top choice typically selected schools with many more applicants than seats available. For example, just under 2,000 rising 9th graders chose a magnet school as their first choice, but these schools only had space for about 1,200 students. More than a third of all 9th graders selected only magnet schools in their top 3 choices. So that's a really fundamental reality about how the school system operates. And again, it's a policy decision this board made long ago, but there are an awful lot of families who want to go to a magnet school. By the way, the magnet schools, 36% of it are beating the state average and beating the high school charters in their academic performance. So it's not an irrational choice, but not everybody's choice is honored because, again, the demand and the supply are not in equilibrium. We made a commitment when we launched the community schools to make sure that every child who wanted to go to a school to one of the community schools could go there. Every transition grade student, kindergarten and 9th grade in the South Ward who chose a community school has in fact been admitted. Now, here's an interesting number, to me at least. Students who preferred a neighborhood district school were overwhelmingly admitted to their neighborhood school. 98% of incoming kindergarten families who wanted to attend a district school in their neighborhood were matched to a district school in their neighborhood. But let's look at those very small percentage who weren't, okay, and see why that was. A small number of schools did not have enough seats to accommodate all kindergarten applicants from the neighborhood. So in the East Ward, for example, 166 students selected Ann Street School for 122 open kindergarten seats. All new kindergartens who matched there lived in the East Ward, with the exception of 2 students whose siblings already attended Ann Street. We mentioned that sibling preference is the top preference. Many kindergarten families, however, selected a district school outside of their neighborhood or a charter as their first choice. 37% of kindergarten families chose a neighborhood district school first, 14% chose a non-neighborhood district school first, and 49% of kindergarten families chose a charter school first. That's just the way the numbers broke. And again, I am not inclined to tell families that I know better than they what is right for their child. Now, also, and I won't go through the statistics on page 23, but sibling preference was honored in the overwhelming majority of cases. The only instance where it wasn't is when there were literally more siblings than there were open seats. That happened on some occasions. And we're also very, very focused on how students with IEPs, with special education, or students who are with bilingual needs are being matched. We've already had a conversation about that, about the substance of those programs. But we, and this is a very important correction we made under the guidance of this board, that before a student is placed, we have special education professionals making sure that the school has the services that will fit the needs, that there is an appropriate program for them, and the same is now true for English language learners as well. We also do put a thumb on the scale, as I mentioned before, not only for sibling and preference, but also for special education for those schools that in a numerical sense are underserving children with special education needs. So very quickly, as we bring this to a close, I'm going to ask Ms. Ramos, one of our heroes who runs this, to Ms. Ramos, if you would just tell us a little bit about the process that lies ahead. Thank you.
Sure, great. Oh, can everyone hear me? Great.
My name is Gabby Ramos-Solomon. Thanks so much for having me here this evening. We just wanted to be sure that families, the board, and the public were very well aware of the critical dates that are part of this process that are coming up, as well as next steps through the process for families to make sure that they know what school they're supposed to be attending next year, or if they have some issues or challenges, some outlets that they can use to rectify those challenges. So first off, we want to make sure that families know that they were notified the week of April 21st. If families are still asking questions about their school match for next year, there are ways for them to find out, and we'll go through that in the next slide. School registration is taking place right now. So for students who are newly matched to schools for the 2017-18 school year, the next step for them is to actually go and register at the school. This means bringing their documentation in and securing that seat so that they can become official students of those schools. At the same time that school registration is taking place, we have also opened up our family enrollment portal, which the superintendent just described. This family enrollment portal is an online portal that families can use to enroll directly in a school that has seat availability. This is most used by families who are brand new to the district. Perhaps they missed the application process, but it can also be used by those families who are looking for a different school from the one that they were matched to. And the family enrollment portal has a lot of information about not just the school that families were matched to and the wait list that they're on, but also what schools have seat availability using a color-coded system so that as families are thinking about their options for next year, they have information that they can use to determine what will work best for their child. And at the same time that the family enrollment portal is open, we've also have our family support center open right now for 2017-18 enrollment support. We have targeted our support for students with special education needs, bilingual needs, other hardships, but really any family is welcome to come to the Family Support Center if they are looking for support, a change in school, just questions about the enrollment process. We have a great staff on hand there to help families navigate the process. So families can find out their school match for the 2017-18 school year in a number of ways. One is they can go online to www.newarkenrolls.org and log in there to view their students' match and actually print out their match letter to bring with them to their school. A letter was also sent home to families during the week of April 24th, and we know that about 85 to 86% of those letters were successfully mailed to families, so we think the majority of families have received those. They can also find out from their current school. They can call or visit the contact center at 2-seater, that's the 973-733-7333 number, or they can also visit the Family Support Center at 301 West Kinney. You can go to the next slide. The next step, as I mentioned, as part of the enrollment process is really for families to go and register and secure those seats at the school that they were matched to. We are asking that families register by June 2nd. So that schools can really prepare for the students that are coming in the fall, make sure they have schedules, make sure that they have a classroom to be in, et cetera, et cetera. For registration, we ensured that each match letter contained information about what was required for that. That includes things like birth certificate or proof of age, immunization records, and proof of residency. And the flyer that you see on the right side of this slide outlines all of those requirements for families. Next we have just some more detail about the family enrollment portal. Families who wish, again, to explore a different school option for the 2017-18 school year can go on to newarkenrolls.org and actually view the seat availability, which is updated in real time. They can enroll directly in a school that has available seats. This option will be available through August 11th. Once the school year starts, if a family is seeking to change a school, we really want to be sure that we're having conversations with the families to make sure that we're providing whatever support that we can in understanding what the situation is at the current school and making sure that as they're thinking about options, we're providing as much guidance as we can. They can download their new match letter with their next steps, and they can also add students to waitlists for pre-kindergarten and charter schools. And families who should use the family enrollment portal, really anyone who's seeking a different school for next year, families who missed the application window, new students, et cetera, et cetera. The Family Support Center, again, is also available to provide support and guidance to families. It's located at 301 West Kinney Street. Right now, we are open Monday through Thursday, 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. We will have extended hours over the summer because we know that the summer can be a really busy time, particularly in August. And those hours and that information is going to be posted at the website at newarkenrolls.org. And at the Family Support Center, families can get all sorts of enrollment support. Again, new enrollment, transfers, special education placements, bilingual, and then connecting families with other resources as needed.
Okay, is that it?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just very quick, thank you, Ms. Ramos. Thank you so much. So very quickly in closing, just a couple of what you might call non-germane announcements. One is congratulations to everyone involved for the successful negotiation and ratification of a new collective bargaining agreement with the Newark Teachers Union, which was ratified with 86% of the members approving it. Thanks to our team, thanks to the leadership of the NTU, and a special thanks to our great educators who participated in this. Second, we have our next, forgive the acronym, the next CUSAC visit is coming at the end of this week. As we have talked about many times, one of my main missions here is to work closely with this board to successfully transition the district back to local control. We are taking great strides in that direction. I'm enormously optimistic about this review and this process. And as part of that process, this board submitted to the back to the state. As you know, personnel, the district received 100 points in the CUSAC review. And it required the creation of a transition plan after lots of work by members of this board and so on. That plan has in fact been submitted to the state. It's a pretty, I think, well crafted and thought out document, and that is another milestone moving in the direction of full local control. Lastly, as you know, we owe a debt of gratitude to the many members of the community who applied to be one of the parent representatives on the Transparency Committee. That process has gone forward. I believe, if my memory serves, there were 34 individuals who applied, and through a process that was crafted by the leadership of this board and the prior leadership and our office, 6 of those individuals will shortly be notified to be interviewed for that process, and I'm very, very, very much looking forward to having that committee in place to provide guidance and advice. First of all, to validate all the numbers I just gave you, because I said there's only one set of facts, and I want everyone to agree on what those are. And secondly, to provide guidance and input on how to improve or change the process. So with that, Mr. Chair, I hand the microphone back to you. Thank you.
We have 2 extra items on the superintendent report, the corrective action plan. The corrective action plan.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. Which corrective action plan, Chair? Can you tell me which one it is? It's health benefits, right?
I don't know. Let's see. Let me find you here.
I've got it. It's health benefits. Ms. Shambo, can you summarize the health benefits corrective action plan?
Good evening, everyone. So I don't have it in front of me, so this will be a summary from memory. I know we went through the findings from an audit that the state auditors conducted of our health benefits implementation in the March business meeting, as well as in the Personnel Committee. The audit findings, in essence, we're looking at the talent office's implementation of our benefits to our employees to ensure that we were providing accurate benefits to our employees. At a high level, the findings of the audit indicated that there were sometimes mismatches between the employees' benefits and what they were paying for in the district. This audit was done for May of 2016's benefit implementation. As you may recall, in September of 2016, we moved to a new medical provider. So we moved out of the state health plan and we moved to the Aetna provider. And in doing so, we were able to obtain more accurate and up-to-date information directly from the provider about our benefits. That means that every month we receive an Excel spreadsheet of those members who are enrolled in our Aetna benefits plan, including what level of coverage they are provided, such as single coverage, family coverage, spouse coverage, and are able to compare that information directly with the information that we keep in our system. Under the previous system, we received a PDF from the state health plan that we were not able to accurately compare to our system every month, which led to some of these mismatches. So most of the audit findings that we addressed in the corrective action plan specifically were resolved with the implementation of a new provider. And so you will note on the corrective action plan that most completion dates were actually November of 2016 because we've already completed most of the actions outlined from the audit's findings. The one item I believe that we had not completed was finding that it was difficult to determine whether or not we were overriding some information directly into the HR system of record. And so we clarified that you can track who is making edits to any information in our benefit system and further restricted those who can make edits directly into the benefits information in our HR system of record. Would be happy to entertain any questions from the board about the corrective action plan or the initial audit's findings.
Just to the board members, I know we all looking for it. It's not, if you look in your computer in ESB, it's 13.2.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
What % of employees approximately were affected by the mismatch in benefits between the benefits and the cost? And like, how bad were the differences? Like, how did this affect people?
So I believe when they did an overview of us, they pulled samples of employees. So depending on what finding is, and you'll see the audit findings that they list about, for example, 4% of employees who may have had an error compared from one system to the other. But when they looked at a subset of employees to understand where there would be issues, they looked at a set, for example, of 10 employees that might have had different coverage than what we had indicated in our system. Some of those employees were paying too much for the benefits, and other employees were not paying enough. And so it would really depend on what level of coverage. So for example, some employees were paying about $200 to $300, not enough, and others may have been paying $200 to $300, up to $700, $800 too much. Our approach, as outlined in the corrective action plan, is that we will refund money to employees if they were paying too much for their benefits. In essence, if they were, for example, enrolled in a family plan and they only had single coverage, we will not recoup the costs for those that were not paying enough, as that was an error on the district's part.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Schomburg, from memory, because it should be noted that, and I apologize for us not being ready, it should be noted that the percentages, the highest percentage of error was 4%. In the case of employees who were not paying the right amount for coverage, it was 2 employees out of a pool of almost 5,000 employees. So the error rate is listed on the cap, and each of these categories are discussed. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. Other questions? Okay, thank you.
That concludes our report, sir.
Any questions from board members?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Owens?
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I have a question about what happens after the June 2nd and August 11th date. So June 2nd is the date stated that families must register by. So what happens, knowing that we have waiting lists for different schools, so I was just wondering what happens after June 2nd, which just happens to be my birthday, but anyway. And then August 11th, it says, the students' parents can enroll using the portal. So what happens after the 11th that they can no longer use the portal? Just wondering about the plan.
Gabby, would you take that, please?
Yep, absolutely. So regarding registration, the registration window is like a stated window, but if a family doesn't register by June 2nd, they don't lose their seats. They're able to, we secure those seats for them until the start of the school year, and see if they start at the school year and register at the beginning of the school year. We know that sometimes families need a little bit of time to get all their documents together, et cetera, so we don't penalize families. It's more that we're trying to make sure that families are taking action and registering so that schools can be best prepared to receive those students in the fall. So we're trying to encourage families to do it as quickly as possible, but it is not a hard deadline. So that's one. And then your second question, I'm sorry, could you?
It says August 11th,
Oh,
families
yes.
are able to use the portal.
Yep, so the Family Support Center is open, so if anybody is seeking to change a school or needs a new school after August 11th, they'd be able to come to the Family Support Center and get assistance there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Carter?
I have a few things. First, I want to thank the board for recognizing me tonight and bearing with me this last semester of getting through. I want to thank the district staff, the superintendent, Val, Larissa, who really were integral in my final presentation on the School Funding Reform Act. So I thank you all for bearing with me this semester, changing meetings, and I just appreciate you all for that. I understand the importance of education, and I try to lead by example. And it's important for me, for young people in our community, to see a person who looks like them from the same neighborhood continue to succeed and overcoming every obstacle. So that's my whole mission while I sit up here, is to also be a positive example to them in the work that they do, as well as trying to effectuate change in their education. Secondly, I want to thank the student rep. It took a lot of courage for you tonight to express to us what your journey was on this board. As the chair of community engagement, I think the student rep should have an important part on that committee, because community engagement, students are a part of that. So it's my commitment as the chair of community engagement this year to make sure you guys, if it's a male or female, is included in that process. And at those meetings that we do, we should also have the student's voice as we are making decisions on your behalf. To the superintendent's report, I think that we spoke before about the magnet schools and there being a list, a wait list. I think we need to create more magnet schools around the district. We have something that's positive happening in these schools, and we have a large population of students who are trying to get into them. So if we see that this is something that's working, we need to duplicate it. I also would like to know who creates the policy as to the admissions, and why was testing taken out of that, and what factors are looked at. I know it's attendance, grades, and scores, but I think sometimes students may not have done well in middle school and can show their ability via a test. So it may not have to be the sole option, but I think that it should be a part of it. Last year, we passed a resolution to end universal enrollment. We were supposed to, some people may argue that this process was better this year than it was in the past, but I know last year we agreed to have a conversation around ending universal enrollment and seeing what we can do to move forward. I would like to ask that we still have that conversation this year to see what we can do to end that process. In the same token, I appreciate the board taking, listening to the voices of us as board members, especially the work that was done on the P&I committee led by Leah around class size and making sure that we capped it at Eastside. So I do appreciate you all on that, but I still want to have that conversation around ending universal enrollment. Lastly, it's my understanding in the PowerPoint, you said that 0 people were placed in charter schools who did not list charter schools on their list, parents have reached out to me and expressed that charter schools were on their list because they were told that was their only option. So I would like us to look into that, because depending on how we present the data, if we say that 0 people were placed in charter schools who weren't put on the list, then we need to be aware that when they're in that enrollment center, they're being told that these are the only options, so what charter schools would you like to attend? So if we can look into that, I would appreciate that, and that's all I have for now.
Two quick comments. First of all, my personal congratulations on your success. But a couple of quick comments. I actually think your point about expanding the number of magnet schools is a extraordinarily important issue for an empowered board to really dig in on. Right? I think it's difficult, right? Because the more you expand the magnet schools, the more pressure you put on the population of the large comprehensive high schools. So there are arguments on all sides, but nothing succeeds like success, and they are succeeding. And so I think that is a really deep policy issue that I would be enormously grateful if this, I guess it's within the committee, really dig into that. Second, on the issue, I have actually looked into this, and I'd be very grateful for the specific instances you have on the charter school issue. Here's what I have found, right? Because I hear this and I look into it, and if you're finding something else, boy, if I'm wrong, I'm willing to admit it. Here's what typically happens. So a very material number of students only put down a magnet school, right? So that's not what they're supposed to do. That's not what they're directed to do. They put down, let's just say hypothetically, only arts, technology, and science. They then don't get admitted into them, and they go, well, I didn't get any of the schools that I prioritized. They then come into the Family Support Center, and they say which schools are available, right? And typically, so they did not put a charter school on the list. They didn't put any school on the list that admitted them. So then they'd be told, well, there is a spot available at, these are hypotheticals, at Central, and there's a spot available at a charter school, and which one do you want? So it's factually true that they are given the option of a charter school, but I believe, and again, I'm ready to be corrected, that I'm not aware of any instance where someone came in and said the only option you have is to go to a charter school. And that's something that I would be, again, appreciative of the factual information that I'd be happy to investigate on your behalf. Thank you.
In regards to that, I would ask that if there happens to be a family that only placed magnet schools on their list, at some point someone from the district would reach out to that family to let them know that
Yes.
they need to select another option versus them waiting till the whole process is over and all the schools are chosen and now they only have these options. And my comment about magnet schools, I mean, you're saying it's putting more pressure on the traditional comprehensive schools. There's nothing wrong with us holding all of our schools to that standard. So I'm not
Okay.
trying to make them compete against one another.
Yep.
I just want to implement that
agree.
excellence in all of our schools throughout the city and bring them up to that level.
Yeah. And thank you. You've asked a question I don't know the answer to, so I'm going to ask someone who does. If a student, just in my hypothetical, applied to multiple magnets, didn't get in, how does the family learn?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I think the point about the students who only put down the magnet schools, how do we make sure that they're getting guidance around thinking about filling out an application that's really going to work for them? We did a lot of work with our guidance counselors this year to try to learn from them what their experiences with families were around guiding them in creating an application that will yield success for them. And we also did Blackboard Connect calls and all of that to families who only put down magnet schools as options on their application to ensure that they at least were getting some message that they should put more than just magnet schools down. We get a lot of feedback from guidance counselors and other school staff that families are still refusing to put other schools down and that they only will select magnet schools. So I think we have some more work to do around how do we better communicate with families and make sure that they're thinking about sort of application strategy when it comes to submitting their application and having more success. When a student submits an application and maybe only puts down a couple of magnet schools, for example, and then doesn't get matched to that magnet school, what we do is match the student to the closest comprehensive school that they live to. So we need to guarantee that those 8th graders have a school to go to next year, or those rising pre-K 4 kids, et cetera. And so to do that, we make sure that they have a school by doing that. But then again, the Family Enrollment Portal and the Family Support Center is an outlet for them if that's not a school that they would prefer and they would prefer to look at a different option.
Thank you, Gabby.
Thank you. And the last question you didn't answer around
sorry.
the end of universal enrollment, the conversation that was agreed to last year, if we can.
This is an empowered board that can have that conversation. I'll be glad to participate in it, and our team will be happy to be part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board member? Let's go.
I just noticed a lot of the conversation around enrollment and like how students are like, picked to go to different schools hinges on like the definition of like what a neighborhood is. But I'm still unclear on how the district defines a neighborhood, so if you could.
Terrific question, by the way, and I'll be glad to send you or refer you online to a map that has the geographic hubs. Right?
Okay.
So that information is public and available. I'll be glad to show you.
Okay.
It's a little bit complicated. The mic is off. You know. Oh, I am so sorry. I did not know it, and I thank you for letting me know about that. So I'll be glad to share that information. But by the way, that is another area where an empowered board could really weigh in on what is the definition of neighborhood. That is not etched in stone. That is something that for many, many years the board or the school system has defined. And there's some judgment calls about is it the Ironbound? Is it McCarter Boulevard? Is it what is the line? Got it.
Any other questions from the board? Next order of business, public participation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the public participation portion of the meeting. As a reminder, time limits for all speakers will be enforced. There is no sharing or granting of speaking time to others. Speakers must be present when their name is called. Speakers are required to give their names and addresses. The public participation portion of the meeting is limited to 1 hour and 30 minutes. Examples of unacceptable behavior that are not permitted include but are not limited to naming district employees and engaging in personal attacks, slurs, excessive loudness, calling out, yelling, generally disruptive behavior, attempting to disrupt the meeting, or inciting others to do so. Public participation at these meetings is intended to allow the members of the public the opportunity to address the board and administration on issues of public concern, not a forum for two-way dialogue with the board members or district officials. The superintendent or designee or the chair may respond to questions either at the end of the session or responses may be provided at a later time. The superintendent or chair may interrupt any speaker or terminate any speaking privilege if the comments are disruptive or obscene. An individual may be cautioned that a personally directed statement may be slanderous or defaming, and the individual will be liable for his or her statements. Attempts to hijack or filibuster proceedings, repeated interrupting or badgering the board chair or district officials, repetitive and truculent speech, or disregard of the rules of decorum are not tolerated and may subject the individual or group to removal from the meeting. If necessary, the meeting may be adjourned.
First speaker, Karan Roberson.
How you doing? I had to get my address. Okay, I'm Karan Roberson. I live at 193 Pennington Street, apartment 3C. Hello, my name is Karan Roberson. I'm a freshman at Central High School. I'm also a member of Youth Meet Symposium. Now let me get to the point. I'm here to talk to you about today. It's Student Voice Matters Day. We are here for the student voices to be heard, not ignored. Many of the major events that led to justice in history were led by students, like the Greensboro Four during the Civil Rights Movement. They sat at the lunch counter because they felt that their calls for rights were not heard. We stand today for the same reasons. I have been in the Newark public school system for over 3 years, and it's been a difficult time for my voice to be heard. Honestly, with the help of YMS, my voice can and will be heard. With the help of this campaign, students can now come from the dark and speak their mind about the problems in their schools. And with the changes we're calling for, we will be able to actually hold the school board accountable. Return to local control must include a place for us. We want to make sure you do not ignore us this time around. We have a few points on this campaign, but if I had to focus on one of it, it would have been introduction of a student board where students from every school would have a representation. Adults don't seem to be able to come together, but every day in YMS we do. Students understand that when one of us suffer, we all suffer. We are important because we are the future, we are the youth, and we are change. For so many years, we entrusted our future to adults who are concerned with their wallets. Many of those understate control never took time out to listen to the students in their system. We are victims of a failed system and several failed practices or attempts at improvement. I hope you will support us at this campaign. Thank you.
Next speaker, Kwame White. Kwame White.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Kwanye White. I am a student at the charter school North Star Academy. I am here with Rutgers Newark Youth Media Symposium, YMS for short also, with Karan. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our symposium, with our organization, we're exactly what our name is. A media symposium or voice channel for the youth of Newark, no matter what school no matter what school they come from. We represent all and give voice to all, because that's what any local organization is supposed to do. Give voice and recognition to those who have little to none of it, right? Has that been what our representative organizations have been doing? Making aspects of our educational system as great as they can be for those that they're supposed to serve? Have our representative organizations been paying attention to the opinions of our parents who know and only want the best for their children? Have they? How many parents right now knew about this board or even that assembly taking place right now? How many of you make it your business to make sure that parents are completely aware of what their child is learning or even consuming at their schools? How many of you have even reached out to the students, the ones directly affected by your policies, rulings, and decisions? Many believe that student voice is extremely important to genuine progress. Students are the heart of any place, any city, because we are the future, literally. Left or right, up or down, powerful or weak, we control what happens in our Newark. We become the farmers, the ones that sow the seeds of potential and capability into the soil of our ancestors who sought improvement and freedom. The soil composed of our ancestors who slaved and died so that they weren't silenced the way that they were when they wanted to know the letters of their names. What we have to say matters, and what we think matters. Our voice matters, and student voice matters. And that's why I'm here with YMS right now, to advocate for Newark's local control, for our student representative at the lower goal to have more power than they have been having, and to create a designated student council for the students of Newark, from charter schools, from magnet schools, from district schools, to come together and voice their opinions on what they think should be happening at their schools, because there shouldn't be a divide in districts. We should all have a say in our schools, no matter where we come from. Our voice matters in all of our schools, and all of these schools have problems, whether or not you acknowledge them. So together, we can change this by creating a designated council for student voices to advocate for what we think is right and for what we think should change.
Next speaker, Ramon Melendez.
Hey, good evening. My name is Ramon Melendez. I live at 24 Eagle Street. As a former North Public School student, graduated elementary, middle school, and high school, and a former student rep on the board, I'm here in disgrace and disbelief that our student representative still has limitations. As a former student rep, I always came to meetings and my folder would be slimmer than the rest, meaning I was missing information from other board members that I guess that I wasn't chosen to know about. I believe that our student representative should be as an equal board member as anyone else. They should be able to make and vote on the decisions that make an impact on our students in school, because they are the ones in the school. They know what happens and what doesn't happen in the school. I also believe that we should make a student board also like a school board. I believe that if they have a student board, that board will make decisions that come from the school that related to the school board, so that you guys can collaborate and make a better plan and make better ideas to implicate inside North Public Schools, so that our children can learn better and our test scores and such can go up. And we basically need a seat at the table for our kids to, have a say in what local control is, because some of them are misinformed and some of them are informed. And if the ones that are misinformed, I believe those are the ones that, not saying any of the board members now, but they take control over because they are misinformed. Meaning that when you come to a student who's misinformed, they'll say anything just to make it look good, and you'll use that as what you put out there. Oh, these students don't know well, so we have to teach them. No, inform them of what is going on so that they can show you what's going on in school and you guys can implicate what should happen. So as a former student and former student representative, I think that if we make this school board for students with public, charter, private, no matter, it doesn't matter where you go to school at, it matters if each kid gets the right education that they need. So hopefully you will be able to hear our cry and actually take in of what I'm saying, and hopefully we can get somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Christopher Lionel. Next speaker, Mercy Watt.
Hi everyone, my name is Mercy Wah. I'm 14 years old in the 8th grade and I attend University High School. Today, I'll be representing YMS Youth Media Symposium. Okay, let's get started. You hear the usual, student voices matter because we are the future, or student voices matter because, oh, the school lunch needs to stop feeding us poison. And yes, those things are true, but believe it or not, some students think beyond the norm. What is beyond the norm? What stands out to us, the future? Why do we think our voices matter? Let me give you an example. I joined the debate team when I was in the 6th grade. I joined because I was so excited just to argue with people and felt like as if I was just gonna hurt their feelings. But I stayed because of this reason. For 4 minutes, I could speak without being interrupted. I would think to myself, they really care about what a 10-year-old girl has to say. That's when I knew that my voice mattered. It just depended on how I used it. You see, young people are usually drawn to things or places that makes them feel that what they have to say does matter, and their ideas are not just going through one ear and out the other. This is why so many students say they don't like school, because we feel like we don't matter in our schools. Why do you think when people tell us when you're getting bullied, go tell an adult? That's not the first people we go to. We go to our friends because we feel like we matter to them. We don't not go to the teachers in our schools. Because when we're friends, because when we are around our friends, we feel like we matter. The students in YMS represents almost all of the schools in Newark, and we have created the Student Voices Matter campaign to begin to change this. Our campaign is calling for these 3 things: 1, a seat at the table when the school returns to local control. Local control must include students. 2, creating a student board just like the school board that represents the student voice, not just one student on the board. 3, the student representative seat to have more power so that the leaders like Laura can truly have a change. We have petitions that I would like to present to the board in which we support our campaign. I have achieved over 50 signatures so have other people in YMS. This shows that although my peers believe that what we say goes in vain, they still have hope that their voices can be heard. I want you not only to believe that student voices matter, I want you to take action, as cliche as that sounds, because action speaks louder than words. We look forward to hearing from the superintendent and our board goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Vivian Perlata.
Mr. Chair, where's the chair? Where's the chair?
Hi, I'm Vivian, and I live at 53 St. Charles Street. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Vivian, as I said, and I am a student advocate at the Youth Media Symposium. I am also a 2017 Newark Public Schools graduate and the valedictorian of Barringer Arts. So, I just wanted to say something real quick before I started, and it was that it's nice to have a better enrollment system for the schools, but we also need to create better schools, like better public schools, because everyone wants to get into a science park or technology, but very few people want to apply to Barringer or West Side. So I just want to say that. We, the students of Newark, have a voice, and we want to use it at the decision-making table. We know things that go on in our schools. Teachers and administrators, as well as students, are affected every day by our school system. We shouldn't have to deal with issues like lead in the water, endless hours of testing, broken smart boards, ripped textbooks, long-term substitutes, budget cuts, not enough equipment in the sports program, instability in schools, and the list can go on and on. This is not the education I imagined to receive when I came to a country like this in America. And while my principal and teachers try their best, I know from my expertise that my school is one of the forgotten. To help make Newark Public Schools better, the students of YMS have a plan. In the past, our plan was to bring college success centers to our schools, and we did that. They have helped hundreds of students with the college process. Our voices were right. This time, we demand a citywide student board made up of district schools and charter schools, a place where students can assemble, talk, plan, and organize around the different issues. Since at the end of the day, we are the ones that have to sit in the classrooms and be affected by the different situations we are confronted with. And today, we also stand with Laura, calling for change to the student representative role so that it has actual power and influence. No more student bodies, we want student minds. There might be some people that believe that students have a voice, but the fact is that we are not being well represented. It is not the same thing to listen and hear. With the local control coming back to this summer, we want to make sure we have a seat at the table. If the board doesn't start getting more things done, the students' future is compromised and their potential will never be fully reached. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Chair,
are we going to respond to the students
before they leave?
Yes. Who would like to go first?
No, we're not. Next speaker.
Yeah.
That's
No,
it for students?
That's the last speaker. That's the last student speaker.
Okay.
So I do want to commend the students for YMS. It's a great program. I'm proud that you are coming to let us hear your concerns. My daughter's a participant, so I had the opportunity to see you guys firsthand. She loves the program, and you definitely have the support of us because your voice does matter. Change come about because we're here today, but you will be here tomorrow. You are 100% of our future, and it matters that you are engaged in your own education. You are your best advocate. So I do want to commend and applaud you, and whatever you need, you can just give me a call. Thank you.
would like to say?
Madam Chair, comment, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Carter.
I also would like to commend the students who came forth to speak today from YMS. You are your biggest advocate, as Kim said. It takes a lot of courage to get up there and let us know what's going on. You're right. We do what we do for you. You're in the schools. Again, I'm the chair of the Community Engagement Committee, so I look forward to sitting down with you all to hear how myself and my board colleagues can engage with you and include that in a part of the community engagement, because the community engagement isn't just about the adults in the community, but it's also about the students. So I would love for you guys to be an intricate part in the agenda as what we're trying to do this year in terms of community engagement and moving the district forward as the city moves forward and trying to return local control to us. So thank you again, and thank you to the adults out there who are supporting the work that these young people are doing. I see the great work you're doing, so keep it up.
Chair.
Mr. Russell.
I too would like to echo what my board colleagues, Ms. Gaddy and Ms. Carter said. We do commend all the students for coming out and voicing your concerns. I do wholeheartedly agree with you that we do need to redefine the student reps role and empower them with more power. Absolutely, I would like to commend your leader, Ms. Kalina Berryman, for all she do. She's running a great organization, and I too myself, if you need me in any way or in any capacity, please feel free to reach out to me because I too was once a student, and we'll work with you through the chair of the Community Engagement Committee. So again, with my colleagues, we thank you for coming here, and we commend all that you do.
Superintendent, sir.
So I just want to say how much I honor your activism and your advocacy, and you represent not only your cause, but your city extraordinarily well. But I also want to say that I'd like to do more than just say that, and if you will have me, I would love an opportunity to meet with you, and maybe some of my colleagues on the board would be interested in joining, but if that is something that we can arrange, I'd love an opportunity to hear you firsthand when we have more time and you don't have the pressure of a 3-minute buzzer going off to share your views and not only on the issue of the student role, but on what counts, I think, from your perspective about what's going wrong and what's going right and how we can do a better job up here. So we will. I think I know how to reach you. So we'll make that happen if you'll have us. Thank you. You'll have us.
Board Member Johnson.
I just also wanted to add to what Chairperson Dashe Carter also mentioned, being a part of her committee, which is community engagement, which is something that's near and dear to my heart. And as I told the lady outside in the hallway before I even came in here, and even before I knew she was going to speak, and Mr. Dan congratulated you on what you did, and she said she's done so many things. When I asked what was he congratulating you on, so I gave you my name and I gave you my number, and also as well as my email. So anytime that you need me, I'm here for you, and any one of you guys can reach out to me. And as well as Ms. Berryman, I'm one of your Facebook friends, and I have inboxed you a couple of times and told you that you do have my support even before I came a member of this board. And as I once again said, that I am a strong community-minded individual, and anything, as our board members also said, that anything that we can do to help you guys, we are here for you, because the children of our future depends on us, and without you guys here, we would not be here. And so, once again, I commend you all too for even coming in here tonight and stepping up to that podium and saying what you feel, and you said it from your heart. So once again, as our board member said, that we are here for you guys, because without you, we would not be here. So. Well, they want to see that. Oh, and they will see it. They will see it as well as you.
All right, Ms. Johnson.
They want to make decisions too. That's
What's that? Oh, Ms. Owens.
So I also want to commend the students who came up and spoke this evening, and all the students involved in YMS, and Kalina Berryman and Junius Williams. And I believe one of the speakers said that there's a petition, so I wanted to make sure that I was able to sign it before you leave. So if you want to come over to the side stair before you leave, I'll make sure to sign it. Thank you.
Any other board members?
Thank you all.
So I just wanted to echo my board colleagues and say great job to the students that are here. You're being led by a strong Jaguar and Kalina Berryman, who's an alumni of Arts High School. So I also, before even Ms. Carter said that, I was going to ask her and her committee to make sure they take on the student rep. When we was in the interviews with the student rep for the next student rep, one of the candidates actually asked me what would I like to see in the student rep. And one thing I told them is when I was in school, when I was in Arts High School, there was something Ms. Bolden had called the North Public Schools Student Government Organization. And even though we had the student rep on the board, each school had a student rep that represented them, and the student rep on the board met with them once a month. So through Chairwoman Ms. Carter, I'm gonna ask her to work on that with the next student rep so that we can make sure that the students have a voice, and then meet once a month with Ms. Carter or her designee and myself. They make sure that you have a voice. Thank you. Next speaker, Darryl Martin.
So let me first, YMS has always been, they've been doing a great job for a long time. Brother Junius Williams and Kalina Berryman has always done an outstanding job. Let's give them another hand. And students. All right, so Superintendent, your cartoons and stuff you put up there, let me just be clear. There wasn't any issues with shortage of classrooms or seats in schools until the charter school cartel and you and your friend Christie started defunding public schools here. Other than that, there wasn't any problems with the schools here. So don't come with these fancy cartoons think you're gonna fool me. It's not gonna work. Second, you as commissioner and some money-hungry elected officials in this city, along with Kristi Cream again, you guys purposely defunded public schools, took jobs from people, important positions in the schools. That created the problem. Third point, Newark enrollment is a disaster, and you know it is. You could put anything up here you want to put up there. This program has created such a problem in this city. You have parents traveling miles with their kids. Kids on bus stops early in the morning where it's dark outside, where it's dangerous. Wrong. There's no way to fix that. Then the businesses that has been disrupted because they depended on those students that was buying from them in those communities, those stores closed. Those things will never be realized again. So don't bring this stuff in here and paint this great picture. It's not a great picture. Now, congratulations, Sister Dashe. I always see your Facebook posts. You do a great job. I love it. I like it. I don't always get a chance to comment, but you did a great job. Thank you for all you do. Congrats to all of the new board members. Some of you guys I didn't support. You know I didn't support you, but I'm willing to sit down and talk with anybody that's going to move the city forward, especially when it comes to the kids. Flo, I know me and you try to connect. I know your schedule crazy, my schedule crazy, but we'll get it together. Next point, all the new committee chairs and co-chairs, congratulations as well. Let me talk about my friend, the new chairman. I met this young man at 16, serving the community, and he's been doing that ever since. So I'm a little unclear at the people that's going after him, but all he's done was serve the community. I think one major problem in this, let me finish, guys, let me finish. I think one major problem is that people in this city, and Jersey City has the same problem because I was born and raised there, and a lot of other these cities around this country have a problem. Politicians, the only time you get rid of them is when they die or they go to jail. And that's what the problem is. You got to give other people a chance. This brother has had the patience of Job. He has allowed everybody else to become chairman, even saying no and letting other people go. So when you go after him, you're not just going after him, you're going after me and everybody else that supports him. So anybody that want to come and talk to Darren Martin about Marquise, we can talk about it. I look forward to being part of that chairman's think tank, and we're going to, some of these great minds in this city, we're going to do some great things. You're off to a great start, brother. God bless you.
Next speaker, Jamarius Nickerson. He's not here. Not appearing. Yolanda Johnson.
Yolanda Johnson, 278 Goldsmith, Newark, New Jersey. Again, congratulations, Dashe. I've been following you for years, and I actually admire your strength and your ability to just continue on. I just want to say thank you to all of the students that were so bold and courageous to come up here, and I would love to know if they're going to be able to create that and if the promises are going to be sure. Next, I want to talk about this board chair. I don't have a problem with you per se. I love people because I love God. But if we're going to talk about God, we're going to start implementing the things that God implements. Like, you cannot, because somebody don't agree with you, Marquise, you cannot take something away from somebody because that's not of God. Okay? That is not of God. And if we're going to represent God, we're going to represent God to the fullest. We're not going to half step because Jesus didn't half step. And he definitely didn't shun nobody because they disagreed with what he said. He loved people. Okay? So that's all that I have to say today. Wait, one more thing before my time is up. Tomorrow is Shabazz's toast off. I would love for them. I'm inviting in all the board members, including you, Mr. Cerf, to come out and support Shabazz. Senior toast off is going to be held at the Reverend Ron Christian Center, the football field center in Weekway Park, tomorrow at 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Oh, she could go before me. She could go before me. I'm yield to her.
Come on.
Thank you. Sergeant at arms, I'm getting 2 more minutes for you.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Rachel Small. Okay. Good evening. My name is Rachel Small. I am an 8th grade student from University High School. Today, I stand together with my peers for Student Voice Matters Day in the city of Newark. Education should be everyone's priority. Kids need education. Most of all, we need a voice in our education. A student voice. Having one student represent 66 schools in Newark is not realistic. We need power, a full student board, and a permanent seat at the table. Without power, we will continue to feel like our voices are not important, thus leading future generations yet more hollow. The Youth Media Symposium and the Unified Students of Newark want to create a student board of representatives from every school to ensure that we have a voice in all decisions Newark Public School makes. We have untapped expertise and knowledge that can bring renewed relevance to classrooms and schools' improved efforts. Students benefit from opportunities to practice problem solving, leadership, and creative thinking to participate in making decisions for our school community. The student voice is the individual and collective perspective of students' experience within the context of learning and education. Not only can it change the educational climate of a school effectively, it can also strengthen students' achievements. Every single student in every classroom has a voice that should be engaged in schools. Students' voice allows students to share who we are, what we believe in, and why we believe what we do, with our peers, parents, and teachers, and the entire school. YMS hopes that the city of Newark will support us as we return to local control and not forget about us. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Denise Cole.
No, I get an extra 2 minutes. I let somebody go. I yield. Huh. Okay, my first question is, Mr. Chair, when I sent you the email, you did courageously send the email on to Charlotte. Charlotte did answer my email, but I'm perplexed at the answers they gave me to my Oprah request. So can we set up a meeting to talk about that so maybe we can get some corrections? Because it's ironic that I Oprah'd the information that was on the site for who was in charge of setting the rules. They denied me and said that there were no such documents, but then they give me documents that somebody had to meet to create. So I'm not understanding, my response, Charlotte. It's conflicting. But don't answer that now. I ain't finished. Also, Marquise and board members, if we are talking about going back to local control, then we must follow policies and procedures that are promulgated by law and regulations. Students, when you come up here and you want to demand a voice, please go get the bylaws of the board. When you look at the board's bylaws, you can write bylaws to implement a portion of that you sit up on that board or you create your own board. You can go to the BOE in Trenton and submit that proposal and demand it. You also need to go to City Council because we're going back to local control. When we have students as smart and as bright as you are, you do deserve a voice, every voice. The charters must go to their school district and go before their board with you guys and demand the same thing. Because this is a Newark Public School Board, it's not a charter board, and we can't effectuate change for the charters unless the charter boards and the charter leaders are in agreement with that. So we need to teach our students the correct way and stop sitting up there appeasing them when you know you can't do what they're asking you to do unless you train them to do it the right way. Now, Marquise, file code 9130, say you and Mr. Cerf have a right to make the committees. It says you have a right to appoint members to the committees, but you don't have a right to choose who the chairs are. Once you appoint the members to the committee members choose the chair, not you. That's a violation of the laws and bylaws that are promulgated. And when you board members know that it is promulgated in policy, we're trying to get local control. That's why we lost it before, because we didn't follow policy and we gave them a reason to come after us. If we follow what is promulgated, we don't give people a reason to come after us. This is not personal, it's professional. And students, I want you to know, when board members sit and be silent and know that there's a law that is violated, they just as guilty. That's right. That's a fact. So Marquise, I would like you to withdraw your appointments of chair and say to the board members that you appointed to those committees, please choose your chairs wisely. But you don't have that right, according to the bylaws. And don't tell me about precedent, because precedent is not set when you have laws promulgated. And the bylaws say, in order for you to change it, you got to change the bylaws, the regulation that is promulgated. Those ad hoc committees that you chose, once they do their assignment, they must dissipate. They cannot operate like a regular standing committee. That is in your bylaws, and the bylaws not that long. You're a master board member. You should have known that. So, public, all I want to say to you,
thank you, Ms. Cole.
You have to know
Next
policy
speaker,
and procedure.
Lucius
You have
Jones.
to know your rights. Huh?
Next speaker, Lucius Jones.
Yeah, it is. It's in their bylaws.
I'll come and sit with you and show you, honey. That's not the law. Past practice has been for a long time.
When it's silenced down, I'll speak.
Mr. Brown. Thank you. You can go, Mr. Jones.
Can we set the clock accordingly? Mr. Chair?
Can we cut out the conversations in the audience? Thank you.
Can we set the clock accordingly?
Clock
please?
is set, Mr. Jones. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. I come before you this evening with 28 years of history in the district. 28 years ago, I came into the district because of my newborn baby. And I wanted an opportunity to see what the opportunities were for her. But when I sat in the delivery room and I looked at her eyes with the little vision that I did have, I saw all the possibilities. My mother would say to me, I don't know how this boy is gonna handle this baby. He gonna have poop everywhere. But you know what? My daughter is now a grown woman, and my youngest is 18, preparing to graduate from University High School. And my youngest is 16 years old, preparing to graduate from Arts High School in 2 more years. I hear the talk about enrollment, and I think that that is an issue that needs to be addressed. But the issue I come before you today is not about the quantity of seats, but the quality of the service. Our kids are facing some dynamic issues in the classroom. For some reason, the books have disappeared. All over the districts, they're not using any books. The libraries are empty. They're using the compact computers as their only writing instrument. There's no writing in the classroom. What is happening to academics in Newark? When we look at what's also happening in the schools, it's the district grading policy. It's the wild, wild west in the Newark public school system or the system of schools. We cannot continue to have all of these issues that we face before us today, because I say to you that it's not in the best interest of children. When you look at the other factor, that a few years ago, we had an assistant superintendent who had special assistants in the high school. Now, all of a sudden, we see an assistant superintendent who's working independently almost and running from school to school to school to school. So I asked Commissioner Sir and to the chief academic officer, if you had 2 special assistants to assist you with running the high schools and overseeing the high school, why have you now decided that the black man needs none? That is a major, major, major problem. A major problem. And board members, you must stay focused, extremely focused on what's at hand. Because I don't have the same rights as my colleagues and parents in Irvington, in Cherry Hill, in Milburn. I am also being discriminated by this board and every resident to come before this mic because I don't get the opportunity to have comments before you vote. So you have to clean up your own act also, because if it's important for me to come up here and speak, it should be also important for me to speak on what you're voting on. So when I sit here and I say to you that I have the most daunting feeling, the most daunting and frustrated feeling, the doctor asked me, how many Xanax do you need? Because I see, said Stevie Wonder, I see, said to my colleagues that Stevie said, I see. What do I see? I see dying black kids dying all over this city. I see black man after black man shooting black man. And I hear no voices, and I see exactly where they're coming from. They're coming from the broken down schools. They're coming from the schools that they're being disfranchised. They're coming from the schools where the teachers are running out of here and running to the suburbs because they can make more money in the suburbs than they can make in the Newark public schools. They're coming. I see. This is what I see. I see that our kids don't get the opportunity that they deserve. That we're more worried about what the color of their sneakers are or the color of their pants than we're worried about what the quality of the education in their brain. I also see that we say we buy new chairs, but the kids don't learn. We buy new desks, but the kids don't learn. We buy smart boards, but the smart boards and the kids don't learn. I'm closing, Marquise. This is a major problem. You can fix the roofs, you can feed them filet mignon. But if we don't care about our future, heaven and earth shall pass away.
Next speaker, Brandy Rip.
Good evening. Brandon Rippey, history teacher here at Science Park High School and one of the founders of the Newark Education Workers Caucus. My comments today are actually about the board process and the politics of the board in recent weeks. And I've got two sort of major points that I'd like to make, and I'd like to make them very quickly. And I'd first like to seriously question the removal of my friend and political activist, Leah Owens, from the chair of the Program and Instruction Committee. And I want to be clear, I've obviously fought with Marquise for a lot of these things, but I seriously question this decision. And that's because I really think she's almost a perfect person for that job. First of all, she's obviously smart as hell. She's committed to public education. She's committed to kids. She's committed to trying to improve social justice in this city, in this state, in this country. She's extremely competent. And she's also been a teacher in two high schools here in Newark, Central High School and Barringer. She knows what students in Newark are like. She knows the challenges that they face and the schools face. So she's a perfect person for the position. She proved herself, I think, last year. She wrote, basically with her own energy, a class size report, from what I can tell. She did all the legwork on it. She put most of it together, even though I know other people's names are on it. She went down to Trenton to fight at the State Board of Education to talk about Newark and things like that. And quite honestly, she has more integrity than just about anybody I know. And that's something that's seriously lacking in this world and in this city. So the fact that she has been removed from chair when she was actually chair says to me that something is really wrong. And this brings me to the question of the process and the politics. And it seems to me that the decision to remove her as chair of that committee isn't really based on what's best for the students in the city, what's best for the education workers in the city, what's best for the schools and the parents and the community in the city. It seems to have been based on political or perhaps even personal considerations, or perhaps even perceived personal considerations. And when decisions like this that are really important for the functioning of schools and, curriculum and stuff like that are made to, keep the mayor happy, made because of personal considerations, whether it's made to keep the North Ward power brokers happy, because it's clear that that's what's happening, then it's a real problem. And because we in this city and the teachers and the students, we desperately need a board that's competent, that's committed, that's serious to their jobs, and that has integrity and credibility. There are plenty of white New Jerseyans who are looking at this board and just ready to laugh when the board messes up and stumbles out of the stumbling blocks when we get local control back. We need the most competent people possible in positions of influence here to make sure the Newark Public Schools can function effectively once we regain local control. So that's why I think it was a poor decision, and I question the politics and the process of the board on this.
Next speaker, Donald Jackson.
Donald Jackson, 79 Tracy Avenue, Newark, New Jersey, 07108, 1531. Well, I know I said I wasn't gonna go back to my old ways, but I guess I lied. Newark, we need to stop taking stuff personal. And we need to do what's right for the city of Newark. Now, Marquise, let me just say this. I love you like a brother. I have been out here with you for over 10 years. So what I'm gonna say is because I love you. With that being said, you wanted the position, take the heat. We gotta stop being mad when people criticize us when we do wrong or criticize us because we need to do better. I'll take all the criticism I got. Miss Wilson used to get on me all the time about me not going back to school. Dashae Carter, congratulations. You yourself, we had an hour-long conversation. I remember because you had to ride me home during the time my car was in the shop. We was leaving the meeting at Cedar Street, and we talked about how I was supposed to go back to school, get my degree, and move forward. And I took that criticism. I took that advice. Why? Because it wasn't to bring me down, but it was to lift me up. With that being said, we need to stop taking stuff personal. And it shows. And all this petty, grimy, going around kicking people back in, that does not move this district forward. It does not move this district forward. You kick Rashawn Hassan back in, you kick Ariana back in, you kick Ms. Baskerville back in. If you want the position so bad, you gotta take the heat. Why are we taking this personal? Why are we being petty? Why? Why? This does not move Newark Public Schools forward. And we got the nerve to sit up here and talk about some local control. Local control where? This is the laughing stock of the state of New Jersey. Them folk is like, look at them fools in Newark. Look at them, arguing over peanuts and pennies, going around kicking people back in, instead of doing what's necessary to move this district forward. Now, I heard who the chairs of these committees are. I heard of who are on these committees. It sounded like some people got shafted out. Some people got left in the dark. Some people were left by the wayside because they chose to speak their opinion and chose to speak what they felt was right. I don't know what it is about this new culture of leadership in this city that can't accept criticism. Because it was all right when you kicked Corey back in. It was all right when we kicked Sharp back in. But now people speak out against the wrong. People speak out against the wrong that's going on in this district and in this city. It's a problem. If you can't take the heat, then don't apply for the position. Don't run. Don't do it. And the reason why I'm speaking, because I'm angry and because I had a passion. Let me tell you something. You can talk about me all you want. Guess what? I don't care. Because I know why I'm here. I know why I do what I do. And I do it no matter what. No matter whoever talk about me, no matter what anybody has to say about me, or whatever problem it is. Why? Because I'm here to serve the people of the city of Newark. And at the end of the day, we need to be serving the children. We can't serve the children being petty. And you know I don't need no mic to talk, because I can.
Next speaker, Donna Jackson.
So take my words as a sign of advice. Stop being petty and do what you got to do to lead the district forward. I know my time is up.
Ms. Johnson, this is my last time speaking to you, please.
Donna Jackson, 128 Smith Street. You set the tone. The chair sets the tone. And you set the tone when you started. I wasn't even here, but you set the tone. So when you set the tone and it comes back, stop crying. I understand you're around a lot of criers, but you be the son that you're supposed to be. Because you're going to take it and you're going to get it. Because we need some things and you're going to have to do better and different. You're not going to be dictated to. You're going to have to stand on your own on a whole lot of things, son, because if you don't, I already told you at the last meeting, and I'm not playing. This is not about anybody else's decision. All of y'all. This is for our children. But y'all allow politics to come in and destroy this whole thing. And you keep souping people's heads up with local control. It ain't going to happen. Do you think the people in this state, in this country, aren't watching this city totally and the county. They not talking about no local control. I was in Trenton today. Them white people laughing at us. They not serious with us about nothing on the city level or the board level. Because we ain't getting that financial control back at that city no time soon either. So it's time, folks. Some of us been in this fight a long time. We ain't just started this. But now we want to let folks dictate what we do and how we do it. And then when we get an attitude, oh, we are support of this, support of that. Okay. Not one of you said one time that this board is not a combination of charter and public. I know we got some people on here. They ain't got no business on here. But this is a public school board. So what the children asked you can't happen under the current structure. I would have appreciated that if somebody would have said it. Don't nobody care about the adults getting mad. We are in the position we in because we don't train people properly. We send people out to training, they come back, turnkey, nothing. When y'all go to board trainings, you got to bring that back. You got to watch other towns. Jersey City been coming out of local control now for 7 years. Y'all act like it's going to happen this summer. Stop lying to people, because it's not. There are other things that got to go in place. Legislation got to be changed. It's not going to happen this summer. But at last, I'm going to say this. There's a lot going on. Our children are suffering. If we do not put the test back for the magnet schools, we're not going to have none. Because guess what? There's not one school in Newark, with the exception of this building we stand in, that is a blue ribbon school. Blue ribbon titles are awarded from the national level every year. That ain't something you just carry on forever. You see, Steve took it down. I made Steve take it down. You only had it for 3 years. It's no longer on grade charter school because it's something you have to acquire every year. So let's be clear. I'd love for us to expand the magnet program. But we're not putting magnet children in our magnet schools right now. If you talk to, and let me finish with this. If you talk to the students in this building, you talk to those students at university in particular, and we done destroyed everything but the carpet in Arts High School. They are sitting in classrooms with students that can't read. They are sitting in classrooms with students that have to ask the teacher 5 and 6 times to re-explain what's going on. And when you go to a magnet school as an AP class in Westside, Barringer, or wherever else, that's not time for that. You move along. So if we don't put the test back, we can't expand it because we don't have a true picture of what our magnet schools are supposed to look like. We don't have a true picture of what it is looking like. There are no nationally certified schools, not only just in Newark, but in Essex County. There are 569 school districts, and only 20 of them are certified. So take your head out the sand, because the white districts are suffering too. Let's deal with a realistic picture, and let's move forward, and y'all stop being dictated to and do the right thing.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
You're more than welcome.
Christopher Connect. There you go.
Hey, hi, I'm Christopher Canick. I work at Central High School. I live at 1 Beaumont Place, Newark, New Jersey. You'll have to pardon. I may have to stop for water. I'm a little under the weather. It's my true and honest belief that the strongest among us have the obligation as quickly as possible to return as much power as possible to those weakest among us. And the true test is how much is returned after that. So, Mr. Lewis, I respect you because when I watched this board over the course of my very short time here by comparison to yourself, I'm in the district about 6 years, and yet I've watched one superintendent destroy this district in ways that I couldn't even fathom without ever entering the room. And I've watched the person who was integral in her appointment come to replace her as though he was something new. And so I'm sitting here, and Mr. Lewis, with my respect for you, I am asking very sincerely that even though it has become apparent that you do not have the authority to place chairs and vice chairs by the bylaws of the board, I would still ask that you vocalize your support for Leah Owens as chair of program and instruction. And I would not ask that without reason or regard. I ask that because I believe that she is an educational expert. I believe that when the issue of class size and its impact on instruction was tabled before my arrival to this district, that one person took up that mantle and made it integral to the Program and Instruction Committee. And every one of those people on that committee, under her leadership and guidance, was able to pull together a comprehensive report detailing the illegality of practice within the city of Newark, as well as a creation of an initial outline as to demographic information and other crucial special ed and ELL distributions throughout the district. That allows me to move past Mr. Lewis, and I don't want to say that dismissively. I just hope that you take into account what I said and why I said it. I want to move to the superintendent's report very briefly with the time remaining and point out that according to Leah Owens and the Program and Instruction Committee's report, 9.55% of magnet school students are special needs. That is at or higher than the charter schools, which claim they have no entrance requirement, despite the magnet schools legally having a mandatory test. And so I'm really struggling to understand how that happens. And I hope that this board is committed to putting out the necessary statistics and the necessary data to actually have the same facts and all the facts. I'm holding you to that, Mr. Cerf. Thank you.
Next speaker, Jay Arena.
Good evening, Jay Arena, 35 Maiden Lane here in Newark. I'm a member of the American Federation of Teachers, local community activist, and a people's researcher of the Newark Public Schools. I join with other people in this room in the community and demand respectfully that Board Chair Lewis and Mayor Baraka immediately reinstate Professor Leah Owens as chair of the Programs and Instructions Committee of the board so she can continue the vital work she has been undertaking, including an audit of the state of special education for classrooms. And this removal of Professor Owens is yet another betrayal by the mayor. Let me explain. Leah Owens was at the forefront of a mass determined struggle in this city made up of rank and file teachers, students, parents, and other community members to defend public education in the face of a very well-funded, strong movement funded by Wall Street, had state power at the school board, the city, and the state to destroy public education. But the movement that Leah was part of wanted to defend public education and create well-funded schools democratically controlled. Now, the mayor, the then councilman, rode that movement to power. But increasingly, since he has arrived in power, he has betrayed that movement, and the removal of Professor Owens is one example. Let me give you a few examples. It began early, but one clear sign was in June 2015 when the mayor made a deal with Trump's buddy in Trenton to remove Cammie Anderson, which was a demand of the movement, and yet replaced by someone even more powerful and more central to the movement to destroy public education. And that's fine for his rights to be involved in that movement, but that was not the movement that brought the mayor to power. His slogan was, when he becomes mayor, we all became mayor, but the movement was not consulted when that deal was cut. Then in October 2015, the planning board, with the approval of the mayor, gave the go-ahead for North Star to establish another school in downtown Newark. And we get nothing but maybe lip service at best about the need to stop the expansion of charters, and now we don't even hear anything. And then in the last 2 election cycles, the mayor has made pacts with charter candidates, 2 in the last year and all 3 this year. That is a betrayal of the movement, and there's more betrayals. The betrayals of Terrell Holmes, signing off the demolition order, the betrayal around rent control. What kind of sanctuary city steals our public schools and throws people out of their homes? Reinstate Leah Owens, and we need to return to a struggle in the streets to defend public education and take back our city.
Next speaker, Lyndon Brown.
Okay, so I'm going to just move on from all the alternative facts that have been stated tonight. I come before you again with some other alternative facts from Brad Haggerty. Newark Public School students are still having a problem taking the SATs because school IDs were not distributed to some of our students at Westside High School. I was at St. Benedict's the first Saturday in May. Several students from Westside High School were denied the opportunity to take the test. I asked them what part of the school they were involved in. 2 said they were part of the alternative school at Westside. I know we have a lot of students who come out of the legal system, come out of the youth house, and so they don't start in September. Some of them, when they release, they enroll later in the year, but they still need an ID when they enroll, and those are some of the students who were denied school IDs. I don't want to meet with Brad Haggerty. I just want this nonsense to cease, okay? Secondly, I want to talk about the Essex County track tournaments. Very successful. I attended quite a few of them at School Stadium. There were dozens of schools represented and hundreds of participants and spectators in the stands. Yet we only had 4 security guards for Mrs. Wilson and Mr. Engel. I thought that was very, very, very dangerous to have that many spectators and that many participants there and only have 4 security guards on the premises. We have to do better at safeguarding our children. And I do want to see that security is stepped up around our high schools as prom season has commenced. And in the past, there have been some altercations. So I hope we have meaningful and dutiful security on tomorrow at Malcolm X Shabazz and at the other high schools as the prom season commences. The gym and locker rooms at Technology High School are totally inadequate for our students. I want to know what's happening with the ceiling that collapsed over there at Lafayette Street School. I want to know what's happening with the school lunches. Why does it take 5 or 6 weeks for students to get cold lunches before parents are notified that the cook has resigned? Thirdly, having students and teachers subjected to an extended school day in our renewed schools has not increased academic growth or enhanced school climate in our failing schools. It has caused many staff members to seek transfers and prospective staff members to decline the offer of working in extended school environments. So when the district is talking about, cutting costs, we need to start right there with the extended school day and cease that travesty. Finally, it should not take 30 days or more to notify parents that their child's teacher has quit or that the cafeteria worker has resigned. Having 7th grade students subjected to 5 months with no math instruction is criminal and speaks to the lack of oversight from the district administration. To our new board members, please take time to visit our schools so that you can have a real pulse on what is actually occurring and what is not. It is not enough to just attend school events or graduations and proms. We need you to go into these schools and see the lack of rigor in instruction, the uncertified and ineffective instruction, and administrative leadership that exists in some of our schools. Board members, please start visiting our local schools. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just, with Mr. Brown's statement, I think that we should discuss what he talked about, the assignment of security officer at the next operations committee meeting.
Duly noted. Next speaker, Wilhelmina Holder.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Wilhelmina Holder, 152 Midland Place. I'm perplexed about a number of things. First, I will say we need to start working now on the dismantling of Newark and Rolls. We have not really gotten to the core of that problem. I can tell you the impact, though, in terms of student enrollment, in terms of high absenteeism, in terms of children not getting to schools, parents not getting to schools. The pre-K numbers are awful. Children not getting to schools because they're traveling all over the place. And they're also getting schools they're not assigned to. They were assigned to schools that they did not choose. I can tell you that because they call and they complain and they wake me up at 7:30 and say, hold on, meet me at 1 Newark. So I think this summer I'm going to start camping out there as well with the other activists. The other issue here is that we haven't talked about something very real, and I think you need the board members, you need to go to the Pew Research Center and look at algorithms and how that discriminate. It's baked, built-in biases, and I think that's what's happening here in Newark. We're not asking the right questions to get to the right answers, because if you did, you'd know that we have no black boys coming into Science High in grades 7 and 9, and technology is also a problem. I was in this school, and I'm trying to find the black boys. Now, you can't tell me black boys didn't apply to Science High or technology. There's something going on, and it's with that algorithm, which is a built-in bias. We need to look at this, board members, and do our homework. I'm going to say something as a mother, as a parent leader. If I was the board chair and not highly qualified to handle it, I'm a servant of the people. And even though someone might appoint me to something, I wouldn't take it necessarily until I learned my role. So this is to you, Reginald. I love you, but you really need to learn your job as a board member first, because you just got appointed, and this is not attack, it's criticism. And you need to adhere to someone who can get us to the point where we need to be right now, and that's Leah Owens in terms of curriculum and instruction. I think it would be big of you to step down and learn from Leah, because you're on the committee. So that doesn't take away from you. It doesn't take away your manhood or anything else, but it's a smart move. It's a very smart move. I've been in that position myself. I don't need the title if I can't do the job. The thing is to step back and learn. You just got to the board. If I were any board member who just got elected, I wouldn't take a chairmanship. I would not do it. I used to work on Wall Street. That's how they set you up for failure. You learn first, and then you ease your way in by watching the people who know. So that's duly said with love and respect for you, because I mean, we want children to have opportunities, young people like yourself, but you need to be smart about those opportunities. So that's my take on that. I'm not going to get in that, and I'll have a conversation with Marquise privately about that, because like all children, I love him, and sometimes we spank our children too. And I want to say about the laundromat at Westside, we need your help. Tay, you promised to get back to me. You didn't hear from me. We'd like to have that laundromat up and running before September. We are trying to put things in place at Westside High School. And I want to say this. We need to build up our comprehensive schools. How dare you sit here and talk about the magnets without talking about supporting the comprehensive? I want to share with you something. We had a great presentation in the West Ward today about Westside. The whole team came out to talk about 124 students that have 3.0 and higher GPAs. We have our basketball team members, 4 of them, 7 of them have full rights to colleges, 4-year colleges. We're not talking about what our children need in the comprehensive schools. We need to support them. We need to bring those programs to Westside, to the Weekways, to the Shabazz that the arts and the science have. It's unfair to talk about either or, because there are talented schools and those children in those comprehensive schools, and we need to make sure they're supported. And I'd like to work with the instruction and curriculum chair team to make sure they have the programs and the opportunities to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Al Masib, not appearing. Cheryl Crawford, not appearing. Kevin Sinek, not appearing. Diane, I didn't see her. Not appearing. Denise Crawford.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Denise Crawford. I told a friend of mine, Ernestine, that from now on, my address and who I am is 100, because I'm going to keep it 100. Everyone, I told you at the business meeting, I thank all of y'all. I love you. Someone asked me tonight why I'm not up there. Are they crazy? I respect each and every last one of you. Just like what folks said, it's a learning process. It doesn't matter what type of education you have, because there's been people that had education, and Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. They cannot do a job. I saw something on Facebook. I'm a Jaguar also. And I saw Larry Ham. And I remember at Arts High, I used to follow him around because I wanted to know the good things that Larry was doing. I want to know the good things that everybody up there is doing. I'm gonna back you. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna be like my other folks out here, that when we don't think something's right, we're gonna talk to you. I'm gonna respect you. But most of all, you guys have to respect each other. It's simple. We're here for the children. All these beautiful children that was here today, I was so proud of them. I've been in, this game of trying to support the district now for 20 years. 20 years. Everything don't go my way either. But I know what I know. And folks, we do have to respect one another. We have to remember that yes, we want local control, but when we get local control, what are we going to do with it? We have to keep on working. It's sad to turn around and don't see this place filled. The ones that normally be here, I told you, is the same people that their children may already be graduated, but we're still here. When people out there crying about their doggone jobs, they're out there looking for us. We are people united together in this city, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a student, whether you're a parent, or whether you're an advocate. All it means is to make sure that Newark Public Schools stay whole. Stop playing. Stop, I'm almost finished, Marquise. Stop playing, stop disrespecting. And Mr. Cerf, I'm personally gonna ask you again, I need a private meeting. So with you and I. I'm tired of playing, okay? I go to the source. I try to make sure that if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, knocking at your door. I thank everybody for what everybody said tonight. Remember, everybody's not going to always take our suggestions, but look in your heart of hearts and let's work together and do what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the end of public participation. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. I just have two brief statements that I would like to make this evening. First is with regards to the enrollment center. I do believe that we've made great strides from where we were last year dealing with numerous issues, and maybe it was because I was in another hat dealing with more complaints, but I do appreciate the work that has been done. I do still believe that we have more work to do because our city is just growing and there's just a lot of other issues happening. But, us communicating is going to help that situation. So I just wanted to make a note of that. I also wanted to say that anytime I've reached out to the district with regards to any concerns, I've been able to get a quick response. My only issue, and I'm going to put it on the record, is that sometimes us as board members, we get complaints at any time of the day. And that could be from anyone, whether we're going into the store, into the bank or something, and it is obvious that a parent or a grandmother or whoever the caregiver is not getting a response, that they're reaching out to us. They're not gonna waste their time coming to us if they had an answer, because that defeats the purpose. So when we do reach out, we would like an answer, a follow-up. I've been able to get that access, just, having a good rapport with you all. But I know recently I sent in an inquiry. Gabby is always very good and she always follows through, and I appreciate that. But I don't appreciate the board relations office telling me to tell the parent to call the enrollment center when obviously the parent is having an issue communicating with the enrollment center, and that is why they are reaching out to us. So I just want to make a note of that publicly, because we are here to serve the people in our community. So I want to be able to answer them, because I personally am accountable to the people that are reaching out to me. That's number one. Number two, with regards to leadership, this isn't personal for me, and I've been very respectful to every single person that I've sat on this board with at all times. I give respect because I want respect in return, and I know better than to respect everyone. But I am gonna say one thing. We all have a level of expertise that we bring to the table. Some of us are strong in some areas, and some of us are weak in others. Where we are strong, we need to be able to lead those committees, because we are preparing for local control. So we have to be able to bring that to the table and work together in leading that. I'm no expert as a teacher. I'm not a teacher. I could teach about Sunday school, but I am not an educator. But where I do have a strength, I am not afraid to bring that to the table. And I just think that that needs to reflect across the board. We don't have to agree with each other. We don't need to speak to each other in a loving manner, but we do need to be respectful. And we need to be very wise about the decisions we're making going forward, because preparing for local control is not just the district's responsibility on implementing, it's our responsibility as we sit in these positions. So I wanted to make that very clear. And I'm gonna ask that we just review once again all the committees, and I'm not trying to overstep your leadership, Mr. Lewis, or Tave, or anyone else on this board, because again, I've been always very upfront. What you see is what you get behind closed doors. In the front, this is who I am. I'm willing to work with anybody, but there are people here that have things that they can bring to the table that they can lead with. And the minute we put that aside, we're taking our district a step backwards, and we're here to move it forward while we are sitting in these positions. We have the responsibility. There's just one major responsibility, and that is we have to do what's best for the kids in this city. And that is our obligation. That is why we were elected, and we may not be excellent at it. I'm by no means the most experienced person, but I'm not afraid to learn, and I'm not afraid to ask questions when I sit somewhere that I'm not aware of. But while we sit here, we as a team need to be straight up about who's able to bring what to the table and what committees they are in and how we move forward with that. So again, this isn't personal for me, but I just want to make that very clear. And I want to let my board colleagues know, if you have anything that I can support you with, I am here to do that. But we really need to revisit these committees. And our titles don't identify us, because when we all drop dead, we're just going with our names. So our titles don't define us. But what we bring to the table and what we do here while we are sitting in these positions, we are responsible for, and we will be held accountable for. So we need to be very wise as we move forward, especially in this year. So I just wanted to be clear on that. And thank you, everyone.
Board Member Carter.
Thank you. The situation with the IDs, I'm perplexed that I just need to answer. It's like a year that he comes to the mic and says the same thing. I think since I've been elected, like if we can't get this small issue corrected, we in deep trouble.
So I don't mean to cut you off. May I respond? So Mr. Haggerty is not here tonight. He had a family obligation. I would just caution you to say, caution that not everything that is said, we need to validate that, because I would be very surprised if that were still true.
Okay, thank you. If I could have a follow-up to the validation.
Yeah, absolutely. We will do that.
Secondly, I just wanted to be clear about Shabaz's high school toast-off tomorrow. That's not an event that NPS is putting on, correct? There was an ask for security, so I just wanted to be clear with the public as to whether or not our security would be present at that event so that there's no confusion.
No, it's actually happening at, I'm the one that's giving it, the PCSA, for Shabazz, the president and the PCSA. We're giving it, and it's gonna be at Weequay because this, Weequay Park, because the principal did not want it at Shabazz. So county will be, present.
No, I'm clear with that. Someone just made a comment earlier saying that they hope that there's security there tomorrow. So for the public, I wanted them to be clear that that wasn't an event that Newark Public Schools was putting on. Therefore, our security wouldn't be present. And if I'm not right, if someone could correct me.
Ms. Carter, you are in fact correct. The security will not be present there, one, because it's not on district property, and two, it is not a district-sponsored event. Should the sponsoring group, if it were on district property and the sponsoring group wanted to have security present, then there would have to be an arrangement, a permit, and a cost for security services.
Thank you. And lastly, graduations were mentioned. And on that, I didn't see on the schedule that was sent out a graduation for the Gateway to College program, I believe it's called. So if somebody could let us know, I think her name is Gabby that's been coming to the mic. So if someone could let us know if it happened, will it be happening, when it'll be happening? June 14th? Thank you. So can we have it sent back out to us with that date, just so when we're planning and sending which events we will be attending, that's up there for us?
Mr. Chair.
Just on Ms. Carter's request, graduations, can all board members by next Monday, next Tuesday, submit to me what graduations you attend, just so that will make sure all the graduations are covered with a board member, please.
To you or to Lizzie? I sent mine to
Give it to
Lizzie.
Lizzie, so she can forward it to me.
Mr. Chair, I had it.
Go ahead, Kim.
Go ahead, Kim.
So I just do want to speak on just a couple items, because this board is here, and it is about the education of all of our children in this city. This school board is the education watchdog for our community, and we must ensure that our students get the best education for the money that we spend. And so this evening, we heard a lot of comments and remarks about the committee and our role and what we should be doing and not be doing. And I just want to say this, Mr. Chair, because you know I had some personal conversations with you about the different committees. There's only one person on this board, and I'm going to say it publicly, as I said to you, because I told you I would never say something in public that I didn't first talk to you about, because that is my role and my responsibility as a school board member, correct? And so I just want to say that we know that there's only one person on this board who is a teacher, who's been in the classroom, who has the credentials to be a principal, and that is one of the reasons. It was not personal. That was one of the reasons that I was supporting Leah to remain as the chair. And I just want to say that for the record, because what that has caused on this board is individuals to not speak, and we're going backwards. I came here to help build the right kind of leadership. Leaders make hard decisions. They don't make decisions that are connected to politics. And we had that discussion. I am the same person when I'm elected, and I'm the same person when I'm not elected, because I believe in what's right, and I stand on it. And so if we're going to move this district forward as a collective body, we have to do it with some respect and some regard for the abilities and skill sets of individuals. And I told you, I understand, because I know the politics of this city. I don't have to be a chair or vice chair to do what I need to do. My son is a student at Arts High School, and I will speak and represent him like I will for every student in this district. And so it is personal to me. But we as board members have a responsibility to do what is right. And it is not trying to disrespect you as the chair. And I hope when you said bullying, You know, I have an issue about bullying because my son was bullied in this district. So we have to be careful about the words we use and how we frame a conversation. Because I know it wasn't me, but if that is how you're feeling, we need to make sure that when we have our retreat, we can honestly discuss these things. Because this is problematic. Because this takes away from our responsibility to focus on the education and moving this district forward. And so I just want to ensure that we always do what's right by our children, because we are adults up here. And we have to act like adults and not children. And then I just want to also make a comment in terms of some of the information that was mentioned. I also talked about the actual policy that's on the books, and I mentioned the fact of what the role was. And so I'm hoping that we do have some conversation, because I know, as one of the speakers spoke, that yes, precedent has been set, but I'm a stickler on what is on the books. And I've had that conversation with you too, as the chair, so I don't want people to think we, are blindsiding folks. What is right is right. And if we're gonna govern accordingly, again, we are elected to serve, and we're elected to do right. And it's upsetting to me that we're not doing what we should be doing as board members. And so the rest of my commentary I'll save for our retreat, but I just wanted that to be on the record, because I don't like it when the public think that we are allowing certain things to just occur and they don't hear the conversations behind the scenes. So I just want to be clear on that. Thank you.
Ms. Carter?
I am in support of what both of my board colleagues have said in terms of Leah. I served on the Program and Instruction Committee, both under Leah and under Tony, and I think at that time those were the right people to be in those positions, as they are educators. If asked for me to do that position, I admittedly said that I don't have the expertise to take on that role, and there would be nothing that I couldn't lead that committee. But in terms of the district, I would like to know legally, I haven't heard anyone from the district weigh in as to what's taking place. And I hear the thing about precedent, I hear about bylaws, and I understand this is something that we've been doing for a while, so I would just like for a legal to weigh in. And then I'm also confused because it was my understanding last meeting that Leah was the chair. So, and I know I've been MIA because of school, so I'm just trying to get some clarity, but I really want some direction from the district as to what are we doing as a board, because it's my understanding that council is here to lead us in a proper direction and to make sure that we aren't in violation of anything. And so we have two people sitting up here with us. So I would appreciate some guidance either now or later, whenever you guys are able to get it. We can do it offline, and that's fine with me.
He said that last week. You said that last week. Yes, you did. You said Leah was the chair for...
We can discuss this at the retreat. Anybody else? So, before we go, and this is going to be my last time I address this, I will not address this after tonight. It's really hilarious to me that I sat up here 8 years and no one never challenged the board chair before until I get the seat. It's really ironic to me that when I get to set the tone of who I want to chair committees, now the committee want to challenge it when I sat under 6 board chairs and no one challenged them. I sat on this board for 3 years, and I only served on one committee, and that was a made-up committee called School Safety. No one ran to my rescue and said, why Marquise only chairs school safety? 3 years I sat on this board and no one challenged those chairs I was under. So it's ironic to me when a young African-American boy from this city who have been a champion for public education, have fought for public education, have stood with guidance counselors, social workers when their jobs was being eliminated, who stood in front of the school where we was locked out to have a board meeting, and now I'm being challenged on my decision. Only, excuse me, you had your time. You had your time, Ms. Cole. So it's hilarious to me that that now I'm being challenged for my decision. So my decision, as I said, have nothing to do with anybody but Marquise Aquila Lewis. I made the decision. I put the decision in writing. I made the decision who's going to lead those committees. And at the end of the day, it's final because the chairman said it's final. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis?
Next.
Mr. Lewis?
Oh.
I'm sorry. I know we're moving on to the next item, but I just want to be very clear about something because I spoke and my credibility is all I have. And it's in this city. No, I just want to be clear because we know people they misconstrued information. I respect authority, I understand authority, and at no point am I challenging what you're saying. And I know that it wasn't a direct shot, but I just want to be very clear here. I'm not challenging your decisions because you are in your role and you are responsible to make those decisions. This isn't about race. As a Puerto Rican and Cuban up here, I've never used that card in my position, no matter what I've sat in, because at the end of the day, my impact is whether I'm a chair or vice chair, I'm going to do the work that I have to do regardless of the fact. My personal statement, and I'm going to speak for myself, is just that we're wise in the decisions that we're making. That is all I wanted to make very clear. And I said it with the utmost respect because I'm not challenging your decisions, but we need to be very serious about the time we are entering in. And I'm just asking, not only as a board member, but as a community member, as a mom in this city, and someone that is a staple in this city, because I'm not going anywhere, but we need to be very, very wise about the decisions we're making as we move forward, because we are responsible for every single thing we do while we're sitting in this position. So at no point was I trying to challenge you. What I'm telling you is out of respect and courtesy to just be very wise, because I know that there are things that are happening in committees right now that weren't happening before that we need to be very alert with, because local control can get turned over and we can be a bigger mess than what we're in right now. And I don't want to sit here and be responsible for that while I'm in this position. So that's what I wanted to make very clear to you. And again, it's out of respect and just words of wisdom, because, either we're going to work together, we could be divided and fail, or we could be united and conquer. That's just what this is about.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. I respect your opinion.
Chair Lewis, members of the board, I would strongly suggest that we take this conversation to the retreat. I understand that it is an important matter, but we are also in a public forum, and our meetings are broadcast. I would like us to defer this conversation to the retreat.
This conversation will be deferred to the retreat. Next, Ms. Cole. Ms. Cole. Next item.
We're in the Finance and Operations Board voting items. Is there a desire on behalf of the board to take the Finance and Operations items as a package?
Motion, second.
Who was it? Carter?
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Owens.
Being acknowledged or not? Okay, so I'm asking to separate 11.28 pre-qualification solicitation for alternative education service providers.
Okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Owens, which one was that?
That's 11.28. It's wrong on the agenda. Oh, pre-qualification.
Okay, 11.28 pre-qualification
Yeah, I see.
solicitation 8759, right?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to vote on all items except 11.28? Okay. Okay.
Second.
Carter, second, Von Second?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a motion to vote on all items under 11, which would be finance, purchasing, and facilities, with the exception of 11.28. Moved by Carter, second by Von Secca. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay, we're going to vote on all these. Is there a motion to vote on all these with the exception of
Motion.
11.28? Who's that?
Second. Carter.
Carter, second, Von
Von
Secca. Okay, this is to actually vote on all items with the exception of 11.28. This is to actually vote on the items. Roll call. Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Carter.
Yes.
Ms. Von Secca.
Yes.
Ms. Gaddy.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Owens.
Yes.
Vice Chair Padilla.
Yes.
Chair Lewis.
Yes.
Okay, all items have passed with the exception of 11.28. Is there a motion to vote on 11.28?
Motion.
Who's that? Ms. Owens.
Second.
Bledsoe? Is there discussion?
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to separate this voting item because last week at the business meeting, as per the program instruction report, I recommended that the board vote no. And I just wanted to clarify and say that we should vote yes. However, the reason why we recommend as committee to vote no is because it's come up in conversation at least on more than one occasion that we need a some sort of rubric, something that will allow us to actually see an evaluation of all of these programs and organizations that get lots and lots and lots of funding from the district in order to provide services to our students. As not to say that any of these organizations listed are not doing well. However, we still want to have something in place. But so that these organizations can continue to provide services for the students, I do recommend that we vote yes, but I also recommend that the Program and Instruction Committee take that up as a serious issue, a way to get evaluation of how these programs are doing before we continue to give them contracts over and over and over again.
Madam BA?
I've heard Ms. Owens's concerns, and I am assured by Dr. Perkins that that will be addressed in the Program and Instruction Committee going forward.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Okay. We're going to move it. This is a motion to vote on 11.28. It was moved by Ms. Owens, second by Mr. Bledsoe. This is a vote, yes or no, on the actual approval of the contract. Mr. Bledsoe?
No.
Okay. Ms. Carter? Yes. Ms. Von Secca? This is to approve 11.28. Do board members know what they're voting on? This is a yes or no on item 11.28, right?
11.28.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Bledsoe, you're no, right? Okay. Ms. Carter, you're yes?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Von Secca?
Yes.
Gaddy?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Padilla?
Yes.
Chair Lewis? Lewis?
Also, yes.
Okay, the motion carries, 11-8 passes. Under board members vote electronically? Okay. Okay. There are no items under 12. We go to 13. Ms. Wilson, the cap, right? Next item's the cap, 13.2 cap. Is there a motion to approve the cap?
Motion.
Second.
Von Secca, I think I had Carter on second.
You got it.
This is a motion to approve the corrective action plan 13.12. It is moved by Von Secca, second by Carter. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Von Secca?
Yes.
Ms. Gaddy?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Vice Chair Padilla?
Yes.
Chair Lewis?
Yes.
The motion carries, and I think the remaining item for the board's business tonight is the field trips, 14.2. Is there a motion?
Move it.
Ms. Is it not on the agenda? It's on the agenda, is it not a field trip?
Second.
No second. It's listed on the agenda. Are they field trips or not? It is, okay, Ms. Jones is telling me it's on there. It's on there, okay, it's on there.
Second. Let's go, move
Who is it, Ms. Johnson? I'm sorry.
A second.
Gaddy, I'm sorry.
Got it.
Okay, this is a motion to vote on the field trips listed as 14.2. Moved by Ms. Carter, second by Ms. Gaddy. All in favor? Any opposed or abstain? Okay, field trips approved. Old and new business?
New business.
Any other new business?
Yes. Go ahead. I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Kim. I want to make a recommendation to recognize the following teachers out of Elliott Street School which are retiring, which is Ms. Mita Rodriguez and Ms. Luz Nidia Mercado Diaz. That's all.
Ms. Gaddy? Ms. Johnson?
I just, as everybody know, or may not know, that I sit on the committee for the African American Heritage Day Parade, and I have brought forth the suggestion that I would like to have all of the graduating seniors of class of 2017 to march in the parade in a special section so that we can recognize them. I made it known to Roger Leone as well as a couple of other people, and he's behind me a whole 100%. And I have a letter going out to all of the principals tomorrow to invite them. So I just wanted you guys to just support me 100% because I think this is a good opportunity to recognize the students of the graduating class of 2017 Newark Public School System to walk in this parade. And the theme is the future of our children depends on us, which I think that is something that we are trying to stand behind a whole 100%. And that's one of the things that I want to do. So I want to bring that up as new business. Excuse me? No, we don't have a float. Can we get a float, Mr. Sir? Would you like to approve a float?
A float.
A float.
A
A
float.
float and a vote.
I don't know where we're gonna get a float at the last minute. I love the idea.
Oh, no, it's not a problem getting it. It's just
yellow
the money. Oh, that would be cool. That'd be good, too.
Now Ms. Wilson's gonna kill me.
Well, you know, something where we could work out just to recognize them, a bus, a float, a banner, something. The board members can march along with them in support of them and their success.
Ooh, Ms. Wilson gave you that eye. All right, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Gaddy?
I want to remind our public that there is a listening session that will be held May 24th from 5:30 to 7:30. It will be held at Central High School. Our topics again are class size, summer learning, school as safe zone. So I'm hoping that our public come out. This is the listening session that is being held with the Community Engagement Committee. So again, that's the 24th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Central High School. Come out and let your voice be heard. Secondly, I just wanted to mention, I know in our last Community Engagement Committee, Board Member Carter mentioned Weequahic High School. The band, they did attend the National Band Conference in Orlando, and Weequahic High School placed first place. So Ms. Carter wanted them to be recognized. And then there was also a recommendation about University High School, also participated and won. So I just want to make sure that that does not fall through the cracks and that those students will be recognized in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Owens?
Yeah, just real quick. Last week, Deborah Smith Gregory recognized the first annual Newark High School cook-off, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out also to the Hawthorne Avenue Elementary School students who were there serving from plants from their living garden next door. So I just also wanted to give them recognition and then say that it was a great event. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just really quickly, I just would like to recognize those families that will be celebrating the holy month of Ramadan. So I did send an email out to the district, similar to a notice that went out from Elizabeth Public Schools. I would like to see us as a district implement something similar and honor those families. So thank you.
Thank you. It's a good idea.
Good idea, Mr. Bledsoe. Me and the superintendent did talk about it. All right. Anyone else? Last thing before Ms. Carter go and try to adjourn the meeting, I forgot during my report to announce, I also assigned board members to wards, the schools, to make sure that we can help the district, troubleshoot, make sure we get as much of our families' issues resolved as possible. So I just want to put it on the record. The West Ward schools will be, the rep for the West Ward schools from this board will be Leah Owens and Felicia Johnson. Central Ward schools will be myself and Reginald Bledsoe. The North Ward schools will be T. Padilla and Josephine Garcia. South Ward schools will be Dashe Carter and Kim Gaddy. The East Ward schools will be Crystal Fonseca and myself. So if you have any issues in those schools, those are the board members you will reach out to. Thank you. Can I get
One second, I'm sorry. I just want to acknowledge the district and Harriet Tubman had an outage. I was out and about. Marquise asked me to go by there. The district was on the spot. The kids was transported to 3 different locations. And I mentioned, and hopefully we can put this on the agenda for the respective committee, I guess, operations, that we should have a school that is set up as an emergency situation so that in the future, a school like Harriet Tubman would not have to be separated to 3 different schools. And I know, Ms. Wilson, you said we could talk about that, but it was just kind of crazy, for the principal to continue all day to go to 3 different schools. But for the 2 days that it occurred, the district definitely had an A+. All the staff was there from facilities, the security was on point, and so I do want to just, on the record, commend the district for that.
motion to adjourn?
Second.
Carter moved it, right? Second.
Can I get a second?
Second. Bledsoe, all in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Good night.